Stillman Company, 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Jake is in for Ian today. Hello, Jake.
Hello, Jared. How are you?
Outstanding. We are presented by the Southern Bank of Tennessee, and we have got a very, very busy day. Of course, there is NCAA tournament talk to be had. The Vols are in the Sweet 16. Vanderbilt absolutely choked on Friday afternoon in this time slot against St. Mary's. I wasn't surprised because Vandy had lost pretty much every game this year that exact same way, which was get a big lead in the first half and then blow it in the second half. But that's what they did on Friday. That's why they're not in the tournament still. But today is Cam Ward's Pro Day, and we will have live coverage of Cam Ward's Pro Day on this program. So be listening for if you want to know, hey, did Cam Ward throw the ball well? Did he? We'll hear what the fine folks at the ACC network have to say in regard to Cam Ward's performance. But when Cam throws, we'll run it. When Cam runs, we'll run it. And when Cam talks, if they get a sit down, and I'm sure they will, we'll run it. So Cam Ward's Pro Day coming up at 3 o'clock. Now, there's one thing to keep in mind. Miami's being very hush-hush about what the schedule for the Pro Day is, and I don't totally understand why. But the ACC network is set to start at 3 o'clock. The NFL network's coverage is set to start at 3:30. So that leads me to believe that Cam will not throw until 3:30 or so. But today is a big, big, big day. And I'm going to tell you why. Because many of you seem to trust the Titans inexplicably. Koharski was ranting about this last week. The Titans decided not to make their free agents available that they signed to the media for a press conference. And Paul said, they've got you guys just hook, line, sinker. You believe anything they say. And I thought it was a little overblown because I don't know of anyone who gives a rat's ass about what Dan Moore has to say, but I get the point he was making. And I get the point that he was making about you all. When he's like, the Titans can tell you guys anything, and some of you will be like, yes, sir, the Titans said it. Well, the Titans said it, Jared, and I trust the Titans more than I trust you. Remember? I trust Rand Carthon more than I trust you. I trust, wait for it, Bill Callahan more than I trust you about the offensive line, Jared. Now, the word trust is a little different in the context that I'm using this. But I want to start by saying, if you trust the Titans, then today, this Pro Day is a massively important day for Cam Ward, and most importantly for all of us, the future of the Titans. The Titans are telling anybody who will listen, whether it is Diana Rossini or Adam Schefter or Jeremy Fowler or Jeff Darlington or Teron Davenport or Paul Koharski, they will tell anybody who's listening that they have not made up their mind on Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. It sure as hell looks like they've made up their mind. Again, not bringing in a bridge-ish quarterback who, if you did the evaluation and you just didn't like Cam Ward, you could say, okay, we'll roll this year with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Okay, we'll roll this year with Russell Wilson or Daniel Jones or one of those guys at quarterback. Even Jameis Winston is off the market. And he was a guy that, look, if you have to, you can roll with Jameis Winston at quarterback. But again, that's because that's what it looks like, doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is. And what it is the Titans are telling everybody we're still not 100%. We need to go through the entire evaluation process. In all fairness, this is probably how it should be, which is you do your work, you go through the resumes, and then you have the job interviews. And once you interview people, then you decide. Far too often, people are interviewed after they already decide who they're going to hire. And it happens far too often. So let's talk about Cam Ward's pro day. Cam Ward had a good college season. And as somebody who's watched the tape, which I have, I do think Cam Ward is a first-round pick. I said after I watched the tape that I wouldn't take Cam Ward at number 1 overall, but that if I was in the position to be able to do so, the meetings where I sit down with Cam and I go over the tapes and I go over the mistakes and I go over this, why aren't you looking at the blitz? Why aren't you, would be massive. Now, according to TD, who once again has said the Titans are not 100%. They are not totally locked in on Cam Ward with the number 1 pick. According to TD, Cam Ward starred in the meetings the Titans had with him both at the Combine and at the facility when they brought him in on the top 30 visit. So let's say check when it comes to the tape. And let's say check when it comes to the meetings. Well, now's the workout. In this entire draft process, Cam Ward has not thrown a single pass. Didn't throw at the Combine. I assume he hasn't had a private workout yet with the Titans or with anybody else. Didn't play in the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Game. Again, he hasn't thrown a single pass. People are like, why is Jackson Dart rising up draft boards when Jackson Dart during the football season wasn't viewed as a top? Jackson Dart threw at the Senior Bowl and performed well. Jackson Dart threw at the Combine and again, performed well. Those things matter. Cam Ward has not thrown a single pass. Now, that doesn't matter to a lot of you because a lot of you have already decided that Cam Ward's going to be a franchise quarterback and we're taking Cam Ward, Jared, and anybody telling you anything to the contrary, you just don't want to hear. You put your hands over your ears and then la, 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 I don't want to hear. But my question is, if you were Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi, would you feel comfortable risking your career on someone that hasn't thrown a single pass in the entire draft process? Cam Ward's down, or excuse me, Louis Riddick's down there in Miami at the Cam Ward Pro Day, and he's like, Tennessee's got to take him. Well, if you get this wrong, Louis, do you lose your job at ESPN? And the answer is no. And by the way, the answer is no, too, when it comes to Borgonzi and Brinker taking a quarterback with the first overall pick who doesn't throw a pass during the draft process. In fact, I assume not only are they all there today in Miami, but there will also be a private workout scheduled with Cam Ward as well. Again, I say the word assume because I don't know for sure, but trust me, they'll have a private workout with Cam Ward. Jake, do you understand the difference between telling and telling?
I think so.
Hey, I'm telling you, I think da-da-da, and there's I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's whether you have information backing that up or not.
Well, that's what you said, but I'm telling you they'll have a private workout scheduled with Cam Ward. And here's the other thing. Cam Ward should dominate his pro day today. Pro days are scripted. They're practiced. They're rehearsed. And with the receivers, you know. Everybody talks about Xavier Restrepo and how that's Cam Ward's guy at Miami. Well, guess who will be catching passes today at the Cam Ward Pro Day? Xavier Restrepo. In fact, Cam will probably say the reason it was important for me to throw at Pro Day, even though I've got 5 years of tape, is because I wanted to show off my guys. Which, again, good for him. Whatever you want, that's your business, not mine. But he should dominate the pro day. And I expect we'll see Cam Ward, go out there and there will be wows from the ACC network crew that is there. Because as far as a pro day is concerned, the only time it's really a red flag is when it's not, wow, did you see what Zach Wilson did today at the pro day? But I cannot overstate how important today is, because this is not a one-year decision. This is a franchise-altering decision. This is a career-defining decision. If you're the general manager who makes this pick, this is a career-defining decision. So every single one of these, what the gurus like to call touch points, matters. And today we get to see Cam Ward throw. And we will run it live right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025 will get to your phones. Plus, the Titans are telling everybody that they have not made up their mind on Cam Ward. So do you buy that? Should we buy that? And what's that mean as far as the pro day is concerned? And how much does that mean that a bad pro day could take the Titans out of the equation for Cam Ward? We'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. It's Stillman Co. 102.5, 106 for The Game.
A month out from the draft, how likely is it that Tennessee takes Cam Ward?
In a word, Randy, likely. Listen, this is the perfect situation where you have a player who appears to be separating himself in the eye of scouts as the clear number one quarterback in this draft, and you have a team that is obviously in the market for a quarterback in the Tennessee Titans. So, listen, Cam Ward is throwing for the first time of the offseason with scouts present. He didn't do so at the Combine. So, yes, general managers will be assembled, including that of other teams, like the New York Giants at 3, for instance, who could have their eyes on Cam Ward, but it feels very likely that right now the only team that needs to be there watching them is the Tennessee Titans, because for now, at least, it feels like the obvious companionship.
There you go. That was Jeff Darlington, and he's saying, like, yeah, it sounds like they're going to take him number one, but everyone's going to be there to watch him today. And I do wonder if you guys noticed when it comes to Darlington there, he didn't say they've got their mind made up. Fowler keeps saying, Jeremy Fowler at ESPN, hey, they want to take their time. They want to go through the process. They want to properly evaluate this. Now, it should be noted, PK reported the entire Titans contingency is in Miami for the pro day. The Titans' entire contingency, and that's all their general managers and, you know, this coalition of people they have making decisions as opposed to actually making the decisions with one person. But Mike Borgonzi is there, and Chad Brinker is there, and Reggie McKenzie is there, and Dave Ziegler is there, and Brian Callahan is there, and Nick Holtz is there, and they're all there. So they're all there in Miami. They all were probably in the building when they had Cam Ward for the visit. So they are, if they're truly going through the process, I mean, they are leaving no stone unturned when it comes to Cam Ward. But let's just say they're telling the truth. And again, I don't trust the Titans. And Dustin in Hopkinsville, Kentucky sent in a text, which I actually laughed at, in which he said, I trust the Titans about as much as I trust my 4-year-old son to not pee on the toilet seat, which I'm not to that stage yet, but I'm sure it is coming. But let's say they are telling the truth. Again, most things in life don't happen this way, where people go into a job search and say, hey, you know, let's really do our homework here. Let's really do the due diligence. Like, let's actually do a good job when it comes to making an evaluation. Most people do the opposite. Most people are like, I know this guy will be a great fit, so let's just go with it because I know. And I don't think that's a very smart way to run a business. That's just me. But let's say they're doing this. Then wouldn't that make the pro day even more important? Because there are two things that the pro day allows the Titans to do. Number one, it allows them to scout Cam Ward up close and personal, which is something they haven't been able to do since the fall. And I have no idea how much these people actually watched Cam Ward. You know, Mike Borgonzi for most of the year, for pretty much for the entire college football season, Mike Borgonzi was with the Chiefs. So how much Cam Ward, again, in person, has Mike Borgonzi seen? Again, how much of a say does Mike Borgonzi have is also probably another question worth discussing, but I digress. And then number two, the Titans will be spending a lot more time. And this is something that I think a lot of people don't really think about. They'll be spending a lot of time with Cam Ward's teammates today. Like, my guess is they'll probably sit around after it's over and they'll probably spend time with Xavier Restrepo and Arroyo, the tight end, and they'll ask the questions about what kind of leader is he. And they probably won't ask it as directly. Again, I think most people would say, oh, it'll be so direct, you know, but it'll probably be things about, hey, who was kind of the guy you looked to when things were tough around here? And then they'll give you an answer. Oh, we looked to coach. Oh, we looked to the janitor. Oh, we looked to, how many of them will say Cam? That stuff matters. Again, if you're going through the entire evaluation process and you don't just have it in your mind who you're going to hire, that stuff matters. So I know there's a lot of Titan fans out there that just want to, I think it's kind of funny because everybody assumes that the pro day will be a great pro day because almost every pro day, except for one I covered 11 years ago, every single pro day for these quarterbacks is a great pro day. Every single one of them. It's great. They're all great. They all play great. They all, oh man. Did you see that throw by Zach Wilson? So everybody's assuming that's going to be the case. Maybe it is. It probably will be. But there's so many Titan fans out there, especially on social media, that don't want to admit that it is possible. It is feasible. I'm not saying likely that Cam doesn't have a great day today. And if the Titans are telling the truth and Cam doesn't have a great day, now don't the Titans have to go back to the drawing board? But that is if they're telling the truth. So make of that what you will. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. Here on the program, Dylan and Antioch going to kick us off today. Dylan, thank you for calling. You go ahead.
Hey, Jared. Yeah, I had to call in. I've been thinking about this a lot. I can't trust this franchise to make a right decision. I mean, if it stared him in the face, I don't think they'll do the right thing. Do you trust Chad Brinker? Do you trust Chad Brinker?
No.
Yeah, me neither. He's a doofus.
But define trust. Like, do I trust Chad Brinker to make the right decision, or do I trust Chad Brinker to tell me the truth? Which one are you asking here?
That's also a good question. I think they're both. It's the same thing. I don't know which. So who makes the decisions? Is it Borgonzi or Brinker? It's the same thing. He threw Rand under the bus, and I wasn't a big fan of Rand either. Chad threw Rand under the bus. Now Chad's here, and now Borgonzi's here. It's the same thing as a Titans fan. What are we doing? Who is in charge? We still don't know. You know what I mean? And I don't think I can trust them to make any right decision, even if Cam Ward is the guy. We screwed up on Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota. Vince Young was good for a year. He was very good. But this franchise just perpetually screws up first-round picks. I mean, it's a thing. So I don't trust this franchise. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Titans, but I am not expecting anything good. It's going to be another year of just crap football. So, Okay,
I'm going to have to ask you this very important question, which is, what do you think Jake Locker has to do with the decision to pick Cam Ward or not pick Cam Ward?
Well, I guess I'm a fatalistic mindset because it happened before. It'll happen again. You know what I mean? That was in 2010. I'm a bit older than you, a couple of years, but we were there, man. We saw it. It was rough. He had no O-line. And it's
but what does that have to do with Cam Ward?
Well, I'm saying I'm fatalistic. I think fate is going to happen to the Titans. I think PK.
I mean, think about this. The coach is not the same. The GM is not the same. The players are not the same. The individuals we're talking about here are not the same. The owner is not even the same. The uniforms aren't the same.
Yeah, no. And I get what
you're
saying.
Do you see, Dylan, I love you, and I appreciate your call. Do you realize how ridiculous that sounds, though?
No,
I understand. I understand. Yes, you do. You have got to realize that. And Dylan, I appreciate your call, which Jake is code for letting me.
Thanks, buddy.
But I understand what you're saying, but it has nothing to do with today. Jake Locker, Marcus Mariota, Vince Young, Malik Willis, none of it has anything to do with today. Chad Brinker wasn't here when they picked Malik Willis. Chad Brinker wasn't here when they picked Vince Young. It has nothing to do with today. So when you start talking about that, I lose any argument you have against picking Cam Ward or any argument you have for picking somebody else or anything you feel about your distrust of Brinker or whatever goes completely out the window the second you start saying, well, it's always been this way, so it's always going to be this way. You realize, the first quarterback Cincinnati drafted number 1 overall was not Joe Burrow, right? Was it a talking point in Cincinnati? And I don't know if I'm talking about on the radio, but inside the team. Was it a talking point of, hey, when it comes to Joe Burrow, I mean, yeah, he threw for a gazillion yards and 9,000 touchdowns and didn't lose a game that last year at LSU. They won every game by 45 points. But we did draft Achilles Smith in the first round, and that didn't work. So maybe we should go with Chase Young instead. Maybe we should take Jeff Okudah instead of Joe Burrow. No. There is no similarity between Jake Locker and Cam Ward up to this point in time. So you got to let that stuff go. You got to let I hate the Titans. I hate being a Titan fan. You got to let that. You got to let it go. 615-737-1025. More of your phones on the program. We'll get to them. 615-737-1025 here on the Stillman and Company program. And let me tell all the fine folks out there, this week's Nashville's best deal is Boomba's Pizza and Watch Bar. Just in time for the NCAA tournament, score half off a $30 gift card and enjoy their award-winning pizza and handcrafted beverages. Visit them in Nashville, Spring Hill, or Murfreesboro. Visit theGameNashville.com/deals now while supplies last. And let me just say this for the record. We had the Boomba's, we had the 16-inch pizza the other night when we did the show there Thursday. We had a half buffalo chicken, me, half margarita, not me. I did have a slice of margarita. It was fabulous. So enjoy Boomba's Pizza and Watch Bar. Stillman Company, 102.5, 106 for the game.
Who is the best player in this year's draft?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cam for a number of different reasons. You know, first and foremost, one, because of the position that he plays and the way in which he plays it, I think elevates him above the other guys in this draft who other people are going to argue for, you know, who are obviously just tremendous talents, and they're going to have, you know, a high degree of impact from day one when they step onto the field. But I think what people underestimate about Cam is just this. Look, his exploits on the field speak for themselves as far as his ability to process pre-snap, process post-snap, deliver the football with a lightning quick arm, great arm strength, great touch, throw outside the pocket, where he's all was in the top of college football this year from a QBR perspective and all those different disciplines, whether it be thrown under pressure, thrown against the blitz, outside the pocket, all those things. The thing that people are missing with this guy that I think really is going to really resonate with people at the organization that he ultimately goes to, which should be the Tennessee Titans, is his leadership. He is a truly, truly unique individual who is no BS when it comes to setting the tone and leading an organization, leading a football team, leading a program, just like he did when they brought him here to Miami.
Cam Ward led Miami this season, and my goodness, was it an impressive year of leadership from Cam Ward all the way to the Pop-Tart Bowl, where he then played a half and then sat out the second half. Louis Riddick. Again, I don't have a problem with saying Cam Ward's the best player in the draft. I don't think Cam Ward's the best player in the draft, but I don't have a problem with somebody saying that. I do when Louis just starts taking his pants off right there on the air like that. And I do wonder, if Cam Ward has a bad pro day, then what? And I mean then what most importantly, like then what for the Titans? Like, does Brinker and Borgonzi and McKenzie and Ziegler and do all these guys go back to the drawing board and they say, okay, well, now let's look at Shedeur Sanders. Let's look at Jackson Dart. I don't know. Or are they all just like Louis Riddick that's got his mind made up? But again, the kind of leader that Cam Ward is. I mean, you just don't understand. I'm like, how do you understand? Just unbuckling his belt right there on the air. Phone line driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, 615-737-1025. It should be noted, I just want to get this out there before we get to your phones. According to Zach Jackson, who covers the Browns for The Athletic, boy, it was nice when the Titans used to have somebody cover the team. According to Zach Jackson of The Athletic, while the Titans have their head coach, GM, team president, and more from their football staff in Miami, the Cleveland Browns have Glenn Cook, an assistant general manager and former Miami team captain. He and national scout Chris Buford are representing the Browns. As Zach Jackson writes, there are a lot of draftable players working out today and not just Cam Ward, and I think that's in reference to Miami. And Zach Jackson notes that not only do the Titans have their entire football staff in for the Miami Pro Day, he said, in case you wanted more of a tell, the Titans also have their in-house TV and website production team in Miami for Cam Ward. So the Browns are like, yeah, it's not even worth our time. We'll send the assistant general manager. Unbelievable. Jared in Spring Hill's up next here on the program. Jared, thank you for calling and thank you for waiting. You go ahead.
Yes, a couple things. Think about this leadership thing with Cam Ward. I kind of texted in earlier, but it's like, you know, you kind of in that relationship, don't know where the relationship's going to go. And then all of a sudden you get you got a great personality, but thing in the courting phase of dating, I kind of akin that to how all these leadership, because there's a lot of personality. So I'm not really sold on taking him number one. I know you're not really either. So is there anything that's going to come out of today's pro day that's going to make you feel better about taking him at number one? And hope all is well. Hope your kid's doing well. I'm out walking my sick one right now. Have a great afternoon, brother.
Yep, thanks for the call. So let me start on the leadership front, because I did hear Adam Vingan mention that, and they all, I mean, that's not nothing. Like, leadership matters. And we know quarterbacks that are great leaders and the effect they have on their team, like Joe Burrow, compared to other guys that don't have that leadership element. That does matter. And there are people that are good leaders, and there are people that are bad leaders, and there are good players that are bad leaders. Like Brett Favre was not a leader. Brett Favre's a great quarterback, but he wasn't a leader. Aaron Rodgers, not a great leader. Roger Staubach, great leader. There is a difference. And again, Louis Riddick's not the only person that said that Cam Ward's a great leader, but I'm kind of getting tired of being lectured about how great of a leader he is. And I'm like, how would Louis Riddick even know? To me, just based off the things Louis Riddick has said, it sounds to me like Louis Riddick has had this of the opinion for a while that Cam Ward needs to go number one, and now he's just going to say stuff in order to make it a reality. And that's the stuff that, again, if you're building a football team, you can't get caught up in. You can't get caught up in the political games of who wants who to go where, or who, this guy's just got his pants off for that guy. It's just, okay, seriously, when you sit with him, is he that kind of leader? And I do like, some of the things I've seen in some of the interviews. I do like what I've seen from Cam Ward. Mike from PA says, I'm hoping Cam Ward kills it. I'm out on Abdul Carter with the Twitter crap already, injury concerns, and worrying about being picked number one. Generational talents don't have to call themselves generational. I'm sorry, what is the Twitter stuff that Abdul Carter did? To me, the injury is the real key with Abdul Carter, and it gives me a little hope. Again, I'm not completely sold on this, but it gives me a little hope that the Titans did take Abdul Carter off their board with the foot injury. The foot injury that you guys are like, oh, nobody cares. Oh, nobody cares. What do we care about a foot injury, Jared? His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, who certainly has no reason to lie. Drew Rosenhaus said it'd be fine. It doesn't matter, Jared. What do you mean? Who cares that the only general manager the Titans have ever had that's in their ring of honor worked with you on the program, and you know that he absolutely would be concerned about Abdul Carter's foot? Who cares about that, Jared? And it seems like ever since the foot thing came up with Abdul Carter, the Titans have been like, nah. What are we talking about here? One texter says, Chad Brinker and the scouts were all here last year with most of the same scouts and carryovers from John Robinson. Will Mike Borgonzi get to actually be the final roster person? We don't know. That is the unknown. Look, the sentiment I get is Borgonzi's calling the shots. But then they bring in all these other general managers, and it's like Reggie McKenzie was Chad Brinker's mentor, and Chad Brinker's negotiating the Dan Moore contract, according to Adam Schefter. And it's hard for me to believe all this stuff. Now, the way I view it is Chad Brinker probably went to Amy and said, we need to hire this guy. And Chad Brinker, because of that, now he's the boss. Kind of feels that way. But my understanding is that if Mike Borgonzi, and again, who knows if my understanding is based in truth or is based in not wanting to stir the pot. But my belief is that if Mike Borgonzi really, truly believed in somebody, like truly was all in and said, this is my quarterback. We got to take him. We got to take him, Chad. This is my quarterback right here. The way he throws the ball down the field, we got to take him. That they would do it. Even if Brinker didn't like him. That's my sense of it. For whatever that's worth. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. 615-737-1025. One texter says, Rand and Vrabel drafted Willis and Levis. Rand did not draft Willis. John Robinson did. Mike Vrabel did draft both of them. But again, I don't know how much of a say Mike Vrabel had in either of them. And guess what? Both guys aren't here anymore. And I said it the day after Levis was picked. I said, these guys are now tied to Levis. If Levis is good, they'll keep their jobs. If Levis is bad, they won't. If Will Levis was Jaden Daniels, they both would still have jobs. And that infighting, Vrabel did this and Rand's mad about this and this, that would have all been, oh no, he gets me the best players. Oh no, coach coaches them the best. If Will Levis had been Jaden Daniels, and Vrabel would still be the coach and Rand would still be the GM. But they didn't draft Jaden Daniels. They drafted Will Levis. And now they don't have jobs. Which is why, again, this pro day is so big, Because as I said, when it comes to picking your quarterback, like this is a career defining decision for these guys. All of them. I don't even care who's in charge. All of them. It is a career defining decision. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. Got a couple of basketball thoughts I want to get into before Cam Ward's pro day around 3 o'clock. We don't know if it's exactly 3 or 3:30. I think the expectation is he'll start throwing around 3:30. When he throws, when he runs, when he talks, we'll run it live. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number. Stillman and Company, 1025-1063 The Game. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love Hiller. They take great care of my home, and they can do the exact same for you. Nobody wants to deal with a plumbing, HVAC, or electrical emergency. Nobody. And most of the time, you don't know what it'll cost, or if it will get fixed correctly, or if someone is just trying to sell you something. You don't want that. When you call Hiller, their experts are going to solve your problems quickly. And I know this because I use Hiller at my home, and that's exactly what Hiller does for me. They solve the problems quickly. The price you're told is the price you'll actually pay, with no hidden fees or surprises on your bill. So book online right now, just like I do, by visiting happyhiller.com. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. They're very, very excited about the Vols in the Sweet 16. That's Hiller. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Final shot. And that'll do it. And the Tennessee Volunteers headed to the Sweet 16 once again.
Yeah, just the utmost respect for Mick Cronin and his UCLA team. We knew coming in how hard they play and they take on his personality. We kept talking about that all day yesterday and today. And exactly the way the game started out, that's what we expected, just both teams really playing their hearts out, going after it. But really proud of our guys. I thought that, again, we stayed in there, did a better job rebounding tonight than we have in the last couple of weeks. And it's something that we needed, and just proud of our guys for getting that done.
Tennessee back to the Sweet 16. And I got to tell you, this was a very chalky bracket. I'm not one to sit there and talk about my bracket. I had them. I'm not one of these guys that ever does that. I think nobody cares about your bracket. Do you guys even remember where your brackets are, what bracket pools you're in or what? But I was looking at my bracket. I'm like, man, I got a lot of these right. And then I realized, oh yeah, it's because a lot of higher seeds are advancing. No drama this weekend from Tennessee, which is it is a very, very nice change that there is no drama from the Volunteers when it comes to the idea that, there's no drama and there was no sweating it out. You know, that Rick Barnes team in 2019 that was number one in the country at one point with Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield, and that team seemed to always be playing with fire. This Vols team is just all business, and they go right to the Sweet 16 where they've got a matchup with Kentucky. And I think this is going to be, a super big-time rival game on Friday night. Matt Jones of Kentucky Sports Radio will be on the show later this week ahead of the Tennessee-Kentucky game. But Tennessee absolutely took care of business the way you would want a team that is a title-contending team to take care of business. And I will say this. They took care of business the way that Duke took care of business over the weekend. They took care of business the way that Alabama took care of business over the weekend. The way that pretty much most of these teams, Florida had a freaking nail-biter yesterday with Connecticut, in which the Connecticut coach went crazy, although the Connecticut coach is crazy anyways. But the UConn coach went crazy yesterday. There were some white knucklers here and there. Maryland yesterday, big time, right down to the wire at the buzzer, Colorado State. But it did feel to me as if this was kind of the path was just get out of that first weekend and get on to the Sweet 16, and let's see where they go. They could lose to Kentucky, who they lost to during the regular season. They could go to the Final Four. They could go to the national championship game. Again, the difference between Houston and Duke and Florida, and I have not seen Alabama. I have not seen an unbeatable team the way that UConn was the last 2 years. I remember watching UConn play Arkansas 2 years ago in the Sweet 16 and saying, oh my God, this team's not going to lose. And maybe Florida's that way, but I didn't get that vibe watching Florida against UConn yesterday, where it's like, oh wow, Florida can't lose. No, Florida could lose. It's a good thing they didn't, but they could lose. Now to Vanderbilt. And I'm just going to keep this short. But Mark Byington seems like a good guy, and he's certainly a good coach. He got to the NCAA tournament, won a game last year at James Madison, and then he gets to Vanderbilt, where the program is the definition of irrelevant. He was a late hire into the cycle. He completely revamps the roster, and immediately, with the best the SEC's ever been, Vanderbilt has a 20-win season and makes it to the NCAA tournament. And that's great. Mark Byington's a good coach. But when he goes back to the drawing board and looks back at this past season, the one thing he absolutely has got to do, he's got to do it. The one thing he's got to do, he has got to figure out what happened this year where Vanderbilt could play all these games where they're up by 13, 18, 14, 12 in the first half, and then be absolutely god-awful in the second half. That happened at home against Tennessee. It happened at home against Kentucky. It happened at home, although they started off god-awful against Auburn. But Auburn beat them up in the second half. They were playing really good teams. And they'd have these big leads. And then they just blow them. Now, in the games at home, for the most part, Vandy found a way to win. The games on the road, had a big lead at Tennessee, lost. And when you keep doing that, eventually that's going to catch up with you. And it caught up with them in the first round of the tournament against St. Mary's. They kicked the crap out of St. Mary's for the first 30 minutes of that game. So much so that, I mean, I had a whole day planned, and I was like, I am going to be sitting my tush on the couch at 2:15 for when Vanderbilt and St. Mary's comes on. Sat my tush on the couch, and I'm watching the game. And somebody called me, and I'm like, you know what? I could take this call because Vanderbilt's just beating the crap out of St. Mary's, and it's continuing into the second half. And then I look up, and I see St. Mary's. It's a 2-point game. St. Mary's hits a 3. I said, what? So whatever it is at Vanderbilt with Mark Byington this season, whatever it was that allowed them to play out of their minds in the first half of these games and then completely fall apart in the second half, he's got to look in the mirror and figure out what that is. Because that was a choke job on Friday. I was really excited for Vandy, get a shot at Alabama and then just, ugh. And then I think we got to talk about John Calipari here for a second. I don't know what's happened, but I've got a feeling when it comes to college basketball, pressure might be, we always talk about this. Some guys either rise to the occasion when it comes to pressure or crumble from under it. John Calipari goes to Arkansas because the pressure at UK was turning him, it was aging him 5 years a season. And the UK fans wanted him out, and he really didn't want to be there anymore, but it was a lot of money on the line. So, we're going to give it this one last go. And then Calipari gets the Arkansas job, and it's kind of like a get-out-of-jail-free card. If Cal doesn't go to the Final Four at UK, they're going to fire him. So instead, he goes and he gets a new 6-year deal at Arkansas. Takes the whole Kentucky group to Arkansas with him. They're awful. 0-5 to start an SEC play. Again, these guys like DJ Wagner was supposed to be a top NBA player last year, and he's just there. And now Arkansas is in the Sweet 16. I would say, what a great job by Calipari. I don't think it's that. I think it's just Calipari has no pressure. Calipari versus Pitino. He's a 10 seed. Pitino's a 2. I've seen that game 10 times over the last 15 years. Pitino choked. Calipari at Kentucky, he's not playing Oakland anymore with, oh, God, what are these hillbillies at Kentucky going to do if I end up losing this NCAA tournament? It's like, hey, I'm in Arkansas. What do they care at Arkansas? I got to the tournament. That's what the expectation at Arkansas is. And Calipari ends up getting to this week. I got to give him credit. So just a couple of quick thoughts there as far as the basketball is concerned. 615-737-1025. Miami's Pro Day is scheduled for 3 o'clock. Now, the NFL Network, ACC Network, starts at 3. The Miami Pro Day starts on the NFL Network at 3:30. So we will keep our eye on Cam Ward. When Cam throws, we'll go live. When Cam runs, if he runs, we'll go live. When Cam talks, we'll go live. So we'll be keeping an eye on Cam Ward's Pro Day. But there was another quarterback domino-ish that came off the board. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number, 1025 The Game, and Bavarian Beer House have teamed up to give away tickets to see Billy Idol and Joan Jett and the Blackhearts at Bridgestone Arena in the all-inclusive Eurostone Club on Saturday, May 17th. Awesome. Tune in to Chase and Big Joe tomorrow during the 9 a.m. hour for the keyword to text in for your chance to win tickets. Bavarian Beer House, located at the Opry Mills Mall. Enjoy traditional German beer, brats, giant pretzels, and more in their expansive beer hall and garden. Stillman Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios and presented by the Southern Bank of Tennessee. The official Miami Pro Day has begun. In fact, it just kicked off with Xavier Restrepo running a 10-yard shuttle. And so as of right now, I am just keeping my eye. If you're watching the stream, my eyes are probably not at you. They're probably down. I'm keeping my eye on the Miami Pro Day. When Cam Ward goes to throw, we will run it live. When Cam Ward, if he goes to run, and I just saw Brian Callahan's face on kind of the in the background along with Jim Wyatt. When Cam Ward goes to throw, we will run it. When he goes to run, we will run it. If he talks, we will run it. They started off the ACC network broadcast by showing Cam Ward talking with Joe Shane, the general manager of the New York Giants. So again, we're keeping our eye on the Miami Pro Day. We will go to it live as soon as Cam does anything. But there was a quarterback domino. There were actually a couple of nuggets over the weekend. One that fell, another that looks like it's kind of shaking a little bit. The first, the one that fell, is that the Giants signed Jameis Winston to a contract that is clearly a backup quarterback contract. And so on Friday, late in the day, I saw Jameis Winston send out a tweet, and then here comes Adam Schefter and all the insiders saying Jameis Winston to the Giants. And boy, Twitter went crazy. Oh man, now they can draft Cam Ward, and Cam Ward now they can draft Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter can catch his passes and can tackle guys after Jameis throws interceptions. Ha, ha, ha. But I actually saw the move and thought, well, Jameis is going to be the backup quarterback. 2 years, $8 million? That's backup money. And ESPN's Jordan Raanan, who covers the Giants in a similar capacity to TD at ESPN, said the Giants are still very much in play at the quarterback position, including Aaron Rodgers. Again, I just saw Joe Shane on the sideline at the Miami Pro Day chatting it up with Cam Ward. This is the right move for the Giants. Not that I'm trying to farm their land, nor do I care about the Giants one way or another, but it is the right move as far as a bridge quarterback, backup quarterback option is concerned, because if you have to play Jameis Winston, you can play Jameis Winston. But with the money you're paying him, you don't have to play him at all. If you draft Cam Ward, you don't have to play Jameis Winston. If you sign Aaron Rodgers, you don't have to play Jameis Winston. If you sign Russell Wilson, if you draft Shedeur Sanders, if you draft Jackson Dart, you don't have to do any of that. So I did not see the domino of Jameis Winston falling or the Giants signing him as some sort of, now all of the talk about potentially trading the number one pick, if that's what they want to do, the talk of trading the pick is dead. I did not see any of that. Because again, when it comes to Jameis Winston, I don't think Jameis Winston is a difference maker, and I don't think his contract is by any stretch of the imagination a difference-making contract. In fact, I think that if anything, this probably makes it a little more obvious that they may go in the direction of drafting a quarterback. What I wonder about is, okay, so if you decide to do this, right, if you're them, and you decide to sign Jameis Winston, and you get Aaron Rodgers, and then Cam Ward's of it, you can have all three. Wouldn't be ideal, but that money you're paying Jameis Winston, that's $4 million. You'll be fine. So I don't think this changes anything about the Titans. I don't think this changes anything as far as the ability to trade to number 3, if that's in fact what the Titans want to do, which it doesn't seem like that's what the Titans want to do. But if that's in fact what the Jameis Winston signing means absolutely nothing big picture. Now, where Aaron Rodgers sits, the other domino. Aaron Rodgers met with the Steelers for 6 hours and left without a contract, which I find to be fascinating. That he would go in there for 6 hours. Clearly, I think it was Schefter reported that the parameters are in place for a deal. So the Steelers clearly want Aaron Rodgers. They clearly aren't interested in bringing back Russell. They probably weren't all that interested in Fields. They clearly want Aaron. Aaron's the best quarterback on the market. Got it. Aaron goes and visits with them for 6 hours and doesn't sign an agreement. Well, Aaron's never been a free agent before, and Aaron's got a legitimate big-time agent. David Dunn at Athletes First is Aaron's agent. That is a big boy agent. Trust me. If Aaron wanted to be a Steeler, and Aaron had gone there for 6 hours, and they had already had the parameters of a deal in place, wouldn't Aaron be a Steeler? What am I missing here? Normally, when you go on a free agent visit like that and you announce it to the world and you have the parameters in place of a deal and you end up not taking it, it's because you much rather be somewhere else. So is that a tell that Aaron wants to be with the Giants or Aaron wants to be with the Vikings? I don't know. Because once again, I don't think Jameis Winston going to the Giants changes anything as far as the equation is concerned with the Titans if they're trying to trade that number 1 pick with the Giants. The Giants are the team that makes the most sense. If the Titans traded 3, they still get a good player. You know the Giants. I say no, but I feel very certain the Giants are going to suck next year, which means their first rounder in next year's draft will be a very good pick. It's the safest bet. So that's the team that I look at the most. And yet at the same time, if they sign Aaron Rodgers, deal's off. If they sign Aaron Rodgers, they will not be interested in trading for that pick. Just like the Raiders aren't interested anymore because they traded for Geno Smith. The Jets aren't interested anymore because they traded for Justin Fields. Jameis doesn't change the equation for the Giants. Aaron changes the equation. And I will just say that Aaron Rodgers not signing a contract 6 hours? Does Aaron know that he got fired in his last job? Aaron signing a contract or not signing a contract is somewhat newsworthy to me, especially if they have the parameters of a deal in place, which is what is being reported. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Again, we are keeping our eyes on Miami Pro Day, which is set to begin, or it's already begun, but is set to begin with the good stuff. Cam Ward coming up, again, I'd say around 3:30. The ACC network started their coverage at 3, in which they just talked and showed Xavier Restrepo running a little bit, went to commercial. They said that what's his name will be up on the Mario Cristobal will be on the program. Now Daryl Colbert Jr. is on the program on the ACC network, who is Cam Ward's quarterback coach. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Again, we're not going to run Cam Ward's quarterback coach on the show. We will run Cam Ward if he goes on the show. The NFL network is scheduled to begin their coverage at 3:30, which makes me think Cam will start participating around 3:30. And when that happens, we will run it live. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. And speaking of the dominoes with Aaron Rodgers, it seems to me there was a report over the weekend that certainly mattered around here, even though it didn't really matter for the Titans. But I do think there could be some tentacles to it. Like, what the hell is he talking about? We'll get to that coming up next. Stillman Co. 1025 The Game.
Okay, so Mike, given that inevitability, given the time frame so far, if you're the Steelers, how nervous are you at this point?
Extremely. A lot of angst, a lot of nervousness. And here's why. Until somebody is signed, Randy, you just never know. You know, unfortunately, several years ago, we saw Teddy Bridgewater get hurt in a non-contact drill ending his season. What happens if J.J. McCarthy, albeit unlikely, doesn't look good in the spring for Minnesota? So until a player is signed, you never know in the NFL. There's 31 other teams that may have a compelling need, albeit unexpectedly. So if I'm Pittsburgh, I am creating a massive sense of urgency. I acquired DK Metcalf. I have George Pickens. I desperately need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers gives me the best chance to win. At some point, I have to go to Russell Wilson because I just can't sit here and wait until indiscriminately Aaron Rodgers wakes up and says, okay, I'm ready to go.
That was Mike Tannenbaum, former NFL general manager on ESPN this morning. In fact, Tannenbaum had a take. He was sitting there at the table. Again, Aaron Rodgers on Friday met with the Steelers for 6 hours. They say it went well. Aaron left without a contract. Supposedly, according to Adam Schefter, the parameters of a deal are already in place between Rodgers and the Steelers. And Tannenbaum, the day this morning on ESPN, said if he was GM, he would give Aaron Rodgers until the close of business today, and then he'd move on. And everybody at the desk was like, wait a minute, you would just close the book on that today? And he's like, I got to do something. I got to have somebody. And I understand it. But I also saw a very fascinating Jordan Schultz report over the weekend. Aaron Rodgers visits the Steelers. Again, you got to kind of connect the dots and how the league works. You know, the NBA does this to a much greater degree. You'll see Shams Charania or somebody put out so-and-so wants a trade out of such and such. And then 5 minutes later, so-and-so has been traded for 18 first-round picks to such and such. It's just kind of how it works. So Rodgers visits the Steelers. Jameis then immediately signs with the Giants, which kind of felt like a tell that the Giants are going to draft a quarterback and Jameis is going to be the backup to Shedeur Sanders if that's who's there at 3. And then Jordan Schultz reported over the weekend that the Vikings have talked to Ryan Tannehill. And I thought to myself, good for Ryan Tannehill. And I've kept wondering, why is nobody interested in Ryan Tannehill? Again, I get the idea. He didn't play last year, and when he played 2 years ago, he wasn't very good. I understand that. But Ryan Tannehill's not a bad quarterback. Ryan Tannehill struggled in 2023 because the morons that ran this team thought it'd be a good idea to have Andre Dillard at left tackle, take a guard with the 11th overall pick, have a 270-pound center, and no right tackle. That's not Ryan Tannehill's fault. Ryan Tannehill's team had Treylon Burks as the only wide receiver until late July. Again, not Ryan Tannehill's fault. Just like it wasn't Derrick Henry's fault. So when I saw Tannehill and the Vikings, as Jordan Schultz put it out there on Friday, I thought good for Tannehill and good for the Vikings. Isn't that the perfect quarterback? Again, they clearly want to go in the direction of J.J. McCarthy, because if they didn't want to go in the direction of J.J. McCarthy, then they would have stayed with Sam Darnold. So they want to go in the direction of J.J. McCarthy. J.J.'s not making a ton of money. Pay Ryan Tannehill $18 million. Tannehill is not coming for free, and he shouldn't come for free. And he's not coming for the $4 million Jameis Winston signed for either. So pay him $18 million. And he's now the insurance policy to J.J. McCarthy. Because McCarthy would need a mentor quarterback if he's going to be the starting quarterback, and that's Tannehill. And Tannehill knows the offense because he ran it under Arthur Smith. But they'll also need a capable quarterback in Minnesota for a team that thinks they're a contender if McCarthy is still hurt or if McCarthy is not good. And again, Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, represents both for about half the money that it would have taken for them to re-sign Sam Darnold. So that makes sense. And I thought good for Tannehill. Then I started thinking about this Steelers drama. And I started thinking again, Tannenbaum, who's sitting there saying, I would tell Aaron Rodgers, you need to tell me today because I've got to get a quarterback. And I think Tannenbaum said as well, Jackson Dart, the Steelers pick 20th. Jackson Dart will be off the board by the time the Steelers pick 20th. I think the Steelers' backup plan is Tannehill. I don't think it's Russell Wilson. I know a lot of people would assume that it's Russell Wilson because at this point, Rodgers and Russell are the only two guys that are out there. But if you're the Steelers, last year, you went with Russell Wilson for one reason. And this is why I'm starting to think the Steelers might be a cheap team. Russell cost them $1.2 million in cash. Russell Wilson played for the veteran minimum last year in Pittsburgh because Denver was paying him $39 million. So when Arthur Smith became the offensive coordinator and Mike Tomlin was telling people that Kenny Pickett was going to be there and have a chance to compete for the job, I thought they're going to sign Tannehill. Tannehill's clearly done here in Nashville. They're going to sign Ryan Tannehill to be the 1B to Kenny Pickett, and they'll let Pickett go with the starters for most of training camp because Tannehill already knows the offense. And if Pickett stinks, then they'll go to Tannehill, which they know Tannehill will be fine with Arthur Smith as the coordinator. And then when they signed Russell Wilson, I thought, well, why would you do that? Well, it's the money. There's a lot of reports in Pittsburgh that said that the Steelers were not happy. The coaching staff, specifically Arthur, not happy with Russell Wilson. That they did not like Russell Wilson last year, and Russell, for the most part, did not like them. And that would seem to be true from the standpoint that they certainly have had the opportunity to re-sign Russell Wilson, and they've had no interest to this point in re-signing Russell Wilson. Maybe now Russell wants to get paid real money, and the Steelers are like, look, it was fine when we did that for $1.2 million. We're not doing that again. So what's hey, if we don't get Aaron Rodgers, what's our backup plan? I think it might be Tannehill. I think that Ryan Tannehill, it would not surprise me if he and Arthur Smith have had discussions, and I would love to see how Tannehill plays in Pittsburgh with DK Metcalf and Pat Freiermuth. I have a hard time looking at Pickens and taking him seriously. That one's a little tough. Pickens, a great player, but gosh, it's just more bullcrap when it comes to him. So if he ends up as the backup in Minnesota, I think it's good for Tannehill. I think what happens, Rodgers wants to go to Minnesota, and he wants to start. Pittsburgh wants Rodgers, and they want him to start, and I think Rodgers would be okay if Minnesota doesn't want him to go to Pittsburgh. That's what everybody's waiting on. One texter says, and our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. One texter says, do you consider the Browns as a potential trade partner? I think anybody's really a potential trade partner. The question is, what are you willing to trade? There was another texter, by the way. Daniel says, the Saints. How about this? And again, we're keeping our eyes on Cam Ward, who is warming up to throw at the Miami Pro Day. I don't think Ward's going to run because they're doing all the running now, and he's over there, doing his high knees and butt kicks. So I'm guessing he's got his music in and his hoodie on, so I don't think he's going to run. So I think we're only going to get Cam Ward throwing the ball, which I would prefer Cam Ward run, but I get it if he doesn't. So we'll keep our eye on that. Daniel says the Saints are sending everyone on the owner's plane to the Miami Pro Day. Mickey Loomis, Jeff Ireland, Kellen Moore, Doug Nussmeier, Brandon Staley, and 3 national and area scouts. This is the type of contingent you send if you are seriously vetting a quarterback with the intention to do what Mickey Loomis does and make a crazy trade offer. The Saints sit at 9. If I'm the Titans and the Saints call, I haven't even done the math as to what the trade chart says that would require, but my God, would that have to be a haul. Just a freaking haul. 615-737-1025. More of your phones. 615-737-1025. We will keep an eye on the Miami Pro Day. When Cam gets to working, we will run that live right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Plus, the one thing that would make me say, okay, fine, take Cam Ward. We'll get to that next. Stillman Co. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Who is the best player in this year's draft?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cam for a number of different reasons. First and foremost, one, because of the position that he plays and the way in which he plays it, I think elevates him above the other guys in this draft who other people are going to argue for, who are obviously just tremendous talents, and they're going to have, a high degree of impact from day one when they step onto the field. But I think what people underestimate about Cam is just this. Look, his exploits on the field speak for themselves as far as his ability to process pre-snap, process post-snap, deliver the football with a lightning quick arm, great arm strength, great touch, throw outside the pocket, where he's all what was in the top of college football this year from a QBR perspective and all those different disciplines, whether it be thrown under pressure, thrown against the blitz, outside the pocket, all those things. The thing that people are missing with this guy that I think really is going to really resonate with people at the organization that he ultimately goes to, which should be the Tennessee Titans, is his leadership. He is a truly, truly unique individual who is no BS when it comes to setting the tone and leading an organization, leading a football team, leading a program, just like he did when they brought him here to Miami.
There you go. That was Louis Riddick today. He says Cam Ward is the best player in the entire draft. Well, I don't believe that. I don't think Cam Ward is a better player. Cam Ward is consensus. Not just one guy's opinion, but if you were to take everybody's opinion and throw it in a bag and shake it up after the combine, Cam Ward is the 13th best player in this draft. Not the first, not the second, not the third, not even the fourth. The 13th best player in this draft. And the reason that I think this is important when it comes to, Louis Riddick says he's the best player, and I don't really give a rat's ass what Louis Riddick thinks, but if Cam Ward is the best player in this draft, I have no idea what the Titans' big board looks like, and neither do you. If Cam Ward is the best player in this draft, then you would almost have to take him, right? You have the first pick. He's a quarterback. You have a need. But the problem here is that that's not really going to be what defines Cam Ward. This could just be a bad draft. What really defines Cam Ward is going to be, how does he compare to Joe Burrow? How does he compare to Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, Justin Herbert? That's really going to be what decides whether or not you should take this guy with the first pick. Because while I haven't researched the quarterback class in next year's draft, and I'm sure most people haven't either, again, I keep hearing it, Arch Manning. Arch Manning's thrown 90 career passes. Maybe Arch Manning's the guy. The Mannings like to stay in college, so I have a hard time, kind of zeroing in on Arch Manning to say, okay, this is for sure Tank. He's going to be generational. He's going to be, I understand why people would do it, but I think it's a little too tough. But if you take Cam Ward, you now are all in. He has to be a star or else you'll get fired. The general manager who took Marcus Mariota, Rustin Webster, got fired. The head coach who took Marcus Mariota, Ken Wisenhunt, got fired. The general manager who drafted Malik Willis got fired less than a year after that pick. The head coach and general manager, when they drafted Will Levis, both been fired in the 2 years since then. That's how it works. So Louis Riddick can say he's the best player in the draft, but what does that mean about how he compares to Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels and Drake May and Caleb Williams and all these other young quarterbacks? That's really the question. If you take Cam Ward, he's got to be a star. Period. End of story. And so I heard Louis Riddick say that, and I heard Mike Tannenbaum compare him to Will Levis and say, well, he's much better than Will Levis. Well, okay. So is Aaron Rodgers, who's available. So is Russell Wilson, who's available. So is Ryan Tannehill, who's available. I mean, I wouldn't argue. I mean, I think if I had to win a game, if the cartel had my family captive and I had to win a game with Brandon Allen or Will Levis, I think I might pick Brandon Allen. And that's saying something because I'm not sure Brandon Allen's ever won a game in the NFL. But again, that's what we're here to find out today with Cam Ward's pro day. Is Cam Ward that guy? Now, let me just say this when it comes to the pro days. The expectation should be that Cam Ward is going to dominate his pro day. That should be the expectation because this is scripted, because he's throwing to his own wide receivers, because he's, again, practiced this. That should be the expectation. It doesn't mean that's going to be the case. I covered a pro day 11 years ago. I was on the radio in Louisville, and Teddy Bridgewater had his pro day. And at the time, Todd McShay came on my show that day. And Todd McShay said that it was between Blake Bortles and Teddy Bridgewater for QB1 in that draft. And Teddy Bridgewater had a terrible pro day. Somebody that was very high up at Louisville told me, they said their stomach was sick when they walked out of the practice facility because they knew that Teddy Bridgewater cost himself millions of dollars with that bad pro day. Bad pro days happen. Again, it doesn't mean that he's a bum. It doesn't mean that he's not, but they do happen. And these things matter. As of right now, again, Cam Ward warming up for his pro day. We are awaiting when Cam will get out there and throw. We will carry that live in its entirety when Cam Ward gets out there and throws. The one thing I am kind of fascinated by that nobody seems to be talking about, but matters to me, the one thing is, Abdul Carter's kind of fallen off the planet. I mean, we were talking about Abdul Carter every day on this show. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Abdul Carter ends up just comes out that he's got a foot injury. I say it's a big deal. Everybody else says it's not a big deal. And now all of a sudden, we're not even talking about Abdul Carter at all. And it makes me wonder. It makes me think that there's actually a legitimate chance that that foot injury could be why the Titans took him off the board. Which, again, gives me faith. It gives me faith that when it comes to the Titans, that they actually know how to run an organization. Although they made a move today, a behind-the-scenes move, which I want some more information on before I opine. But the kind of information that leads me back to, oh, no, these guys are as stupid as I originally thought. But we'll save that one in the kitty for a little bit. But Louis Riddick says he's the best player in the draft. Well, if he's a Titans quarterback, you better hope that's the case. But my question is he going to be better than Joe Burrow? Is he going to be able to compete with those caliber quarterbacks? Or is he going to be a guy who's an average-ish quarterback? 615-737-1025, which is our phone number. We will hit your phones at 615-737-1025. And again, we are waiting for Cam Ward to get up there to throw, and we will see if it's all it's cracked up to be. He did not run. I don't think he's going to run. I think we're just going to see him throw. When Cam talks, if he talks, we'll run it live. When Cam throws, which they say he's going to throw, we'll run it live. We continue. Stillman and Company, 102.5 The Game. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love Hiller. They take great care of my home, and they can do the exact same for you. That's right. Nobody wants to deal with a plumbing, HVAC, or electrical emergency. Nobody. And most of the time when that all goes down, you don't know what it'll cost. You don't know if it'll get fixed correctly. And you don't know if the guy at your home is just trying to sell you something you don't need. When you call Hiller, their experts are going to solve your problems quickly. And I know that because I use Hiller at my home. The price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. Period. No extra BS. There are no hidden fees or surprises that come on your bill. So book online the exact same way I do by visiting happyhiller.com. You can do it all on your phone. It takes like 3 minutes. In all seriousness, it's awesome. They show up to the home, they get it taken care of. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, Electrical. Proud supporters of the Preds, the Vols, and Vandy. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
Mike T, is that the right move?
Absolutely. He is demonstrably better than Will Levis, who may go on to have a good career for somebody else, but Cam Ward is well built. He has outstanding fundamentals. Obviously, we saw the stats, 39 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. He's very accurate, plays with great anticipation. He's a good athlete, maybe not a high-end athlete, Randy, but it is an absolute no-brainer for Tennessee to take him number one, really, regardless of what happens today. Even though we didn't see him at the Combine, today, a pro day is important, but his body of work will carry the day for Tennessee.
That was Mike Tannenbaum on ESPN, and that part there at the end kind of got me a little bit when he's like, no matter what happens today at the pro day, the Titans should take Cam Ward. Like, wait a minute. What? No matter what happens today? What if Cam Ward goes out there and looks awful. You're still going to say, oh, yeah, use the number one pick? That did not seem like a very educated take from a guy in Tannenbaum who I do like. You know, when it came to Tannenbaum's opinions, Floyd was pretty skeptical back in the day, but that's okay. But again, I hear that. I'm like, oh, they shouldn't even answer the phone. They shouldn't. So you're telling me that he's Joe Burrow. Because, again, what happened to at the Super Bowl, Cam Ward has not thrown a single pass outside of practicing himself, has not thrown a single public pass since we went to the Super Bowl. We did the show from the Super Bowl, and we had everybody on. And whether it was Rich Gannon or Jim Miller or Trevor Sikkema at Pro Football Focus, their lead draft analyst or whomever, we had all these draft guys on the show. We had all these ESPN guys. We had all these Sirius XM guys. They all said it's a bad quarterback class, bad QB class, bad year to be picking a quarterback. And now we got Mike T and Louis Riddick and everyone saying, Cam is the guy. You got to take him. You got to. What happened? Somebody has to explain this to me. Now, I have an open mind. So I watch the tape, and I see first-round ability when it comes to Cam Ward. Again, I'm not sure I see number one overall ability, but I do see first-round ability. Then I said, hey, the meetings would be very important to me if I was running the team. The meetings would be important, you know, because, again, I watched the Cal game. And in the Cal game, they had 7 guys coming on a blitz. Cam didn't check out of it. Well, you do that in the NFL, and to IR you go, and now Brandon Allen's in the game. Can't do that. Will Levis did that. How'd that work out for him? Not well. So, maybe he's aced the meetings, which it sounds like he has. But that's still a big difference between, yeah, I think he's a first-round pick, and yeah, he's aced the meetings, and don't even answer the phone. Don't answer the phone is for Trevor Lawrence as a prospect. Not Trevor Lawrence as a player, but Trevor Lawrence as a prospect. That is what don't answer the phone is. So when I hear these things like people again saying, oh, he's the best in this class, you've got to take him. You've got to. I'm like, okay, so you're telling me you think he's Jaden Daniels. You think he's Caleb Williams. And yet I keep wondering why all up until this point, he hasn't been Caleb Williams or Jaden Daniels. That's been the thing everybody has been saying. In 2022, we talked at length about the quarterbacks. At length. Titans might have been in the market for a quarterback. There was some chatter. They had gone out to the pro days, and it was the Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, Sam Howell, that draft. And everybody kept thinking that Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis were going to go in the first round. Malik Willis got invited to the draft. Usually the NFL talks to the teams and says, hey, should we be interested in bringing Johnny Joe? And the team say, yeah, you know, Johnny Joe's probably going to go in the first round. What they don't want is they don't want to bring a guy to the draft and just have him sit in the green room the way that Will Levis sat in the green room that day. So the NFL gets kind of a secret look at the board as, hey, who's a legitimate? They invited Malik Willis. He didn't go until the 3rd round. That year, the NFL and their teams told you, we don't see franchise quarterbacks here. Only the Steelers with the 20th pick took Kenny Pickett. Outside of that, even in the 2nd round, they weren't saying, no, not going to take that. Not going to put my career on the line for Desmond Ridder. Even though the people that took Malik Willis and the people that took Desmond Ridder got fired. Not going to put my career on the line for these guys. Well, that's what we were told this year's class was. We were told this is a bad quarterback class. We were told, hey, you know, Ward might be a 1st-round pick-ish, but he's still got a lot of work on. Who knows? You know, that kind of. And now we're told, you have to take him. Louis Riddick, best player in the draft. I'm trying to figure out how we got here. Like, was it not a good idea when E.J. Manuel went in the 1st round as the first quarterback? Was it not a good idea that Kansas City didn't take him? And I'm just trying to figure out how we got from this is a real bad quarterback class to, oh, no, you have to take Cam Ward. He's the man. How he went from and how it went from, man, there's no Jaden Daniels in this class to now telling me that this guy is going to be the next Jaden Daniels. Somebody help me out. I still, for some reason, do not understand this. 615-737-1025. One texter says, you are a flip-flopper. Interesting. Said you guaranteed that Cam Ward would be the pick at number 1 overall. Now you're saying the pro day is important. How's that the case? Well, again, I'm saying if you take the Titans at their word, the Titans are telling every single insider out there, whether it is Fowler, whether it is Schefter, whether it is Diana Rossini, whomever, they're telling everybody they have not made up their mind who they want to take. And they want to go through the entire process. You know, again, like when somebody's hiring for a job and they say, we actually want to interview people. We don't know who we're going to hire. We actually want to go through the interview process and then decide who the best candidate is. Unlike when the Titans do their interviews and it's like, yeah, we'll give Thomas Dimitrov an interview, but we know who we want to hire. So I say this, if that's the case and it's a bad pro day, then the Titans should probably change their opinions. If they're all in or leaning towards being all in, they're all in period, which is, again, my assumption was when you went to the combine and you told everybody we're not interested in Sam Darnold, it has to be Cam Ward. You have the number 1 pick. You're not the Giants who have to wait and see what everybody else does and then decide. I still think they're going to take Cam Ward. I still stand by my guarantee. The question is, in an hour, will I be standing by my guarantee? And that's if Cam Ward performs adequately at the pro day. The one thing I'm going to say about the pro day, because I know a lot of people think it doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, why would the Titans be sending everybody to it? If it didn't matter, why would Chad Brinker take time out of his day of apparently negotiating contracts and gutting the organization of key people who really make a difference? You know, the good people at their jobs. Brinker's too busy firing them, and he's going to take out of his busy firing people schedule to go to Miami to go watch it if it didn't matter. Somebody tell me. So clearly the pro day matters. All of Brinker's buddies are there. Clearly it's a big deal. Unless they're just going for show, and I don't even know why you would do that either. 615-737-1025, which is our phone number on the program. That's 615-737-1025. Again, the ACC Network's coverage of the Miami Pro Day started an hour ago. I have been keeping my eye on the entire time on the ACC Network Pro Day. They had the quarterback coach on there, not the team's quarterback coach, but Cam's personal quarterback coach. They've had the coach, Mario Cristobal's been on there. They've had Xavier Restrepo on there. We're all just waiting for Cam Ward to throw. When he does, we'll carry that live. 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company continues again on the Cam Ward Pro Day, 102.5, 106 through the game. Stillman and Company, 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, and we are presented by the Southern Bank of Tennessee. We are waiting because coming up, Cam Ward's throwing drills will be live, and we will have them, and we will see how it looks and what they say and how they do and all of that stuff as of right now. Somebody named Damian Martinez is on the ACC network set. They had a coming up next. Damian Martinez joins the show. I'm like, who the hell is that? But I'm glad I have a little bit of time as we wait for Cam Ward to throw on his pro day. Because came across Twitter and I saw this and I was shocked about an hour ago, and it hit me right in the gut. The Titans, I'll just read from what Kaharski wrote, so I don't want to, get accused of saying anything inappropriate. As PK wrote at his website, the Titans continue to gut the organization of people to whom their logo really means something, forcing out longtime PR man Robbie Bourne on Monday. Robbie Bourne, who joined the team in 1997, was one of its longest tenured employees. He became the head of football PR in 2000 and was vice president of football communications. The Titans intend to hire a new person for the post. Robbie Bourne was offered a role in special projects for which he declined. So let me say this. The PR guy doesn't matter to you, the fan. You guys never hear from them. You never see them. In fact, I'm not even sure if you guys can name who any of the PR people are, and that's fine. That's what a good PR person's supposed to be. You're not supposed to know who the PR person is. Their job is to be as behind the scenes as possible. It's a very important job. When I saw the tweet that PK put out there, that Robbie Bourne had been fired, or I guess in this case that they decided to part ways, or however you want to say it, when I saw that, I felt sick to my stomach. And this is an organization who fires people regularly. I get it. You have to run the best operation you can run, top to bottom, no stone unturned. But there are people who make up the culture that every organization talks about striving to build. We want to be a culture-driven organization. We want our building to be Robbie Bourne's that. Like, if there was a PR job that came open today for anything, I'd be like, that's the guy you got to go hire. I don't care if it's the Dallas Cowboys, the Los Angeles Lakers, the New York Yankees. I've worked in this business for, 15 years almost. And Robbie Bourne is one of the best PR guys I've ever worked with on a consistent basis. And that's not knocking anybody else in town. But I'm telling you, this is somebody who's very good at what they do. And did he and I have disagreements over the years? You bet your ass we did. But again, Robbie was always in tune with what was going on. He was always one to tell you, hey, if something wasn't feasible, he would be the guy that could say, no, don't do that. You can't do that. We can't do that. Whatever it may be. But the most important thing is Robbie Bourne loved the Titans. Robbie Bourne advocated for the things that mattered to this franchise, things that mattered to this owner. I sent out, I was on Sirius XM one day, and I was talking about how Bud Adams isn't in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I have said, look, Bud Adams did a lot of things I probably didn't agree with, but Bud Adams belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, he's a pioneer of the AFL. The NFL is the NFL and the AFL merged together. That's why you hear post-merger. Bud Adams is the reason that exists. He belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I started talking one day about why is Bud Adams on the Pro Football Hall of Fame? And Robbie Bourne on cue sends me all of this info, making the case for Bud Adams to be a Hall of Famer. I can guarantee you that the next PR person that runs the Titans football operation won't give a rat's ass about Bud Adams being in the Hall of Fame. And again, as Paul said, he was hired in 97. He was made the head of PR in 2000. Floyd Reese had a ton of respect for Robbie Bourne. and the job he did as a PR guy. We even talked about it one time. I said, what makes a good PR guy? And Floyd's like, you can't control what people say. So I never would get mad at the PR guy because we'd have bad PR because we weren't playing well. I get mad at the PR guy if the locker room wasn't open when it was supposed to be, or if we're getting fined by the NFL, or if players are put in position. And here, with all the screw-ups and all the morons that have worked for this organization over the last 10 years, he was one of the smart guys. For all the people that have damaged the brand over the years, he was one of the guys that protected it. I am absolutely speechless. And what it does, this news today makes it harder for me to believe that Chad Brinker isn't what I believed at the very beginning, which is I believed he was a total con artist taking over the organization and a total snake. And I was told, no, you don't understand. You don't know Chad Brinker. You'll see. And look, Chad Brinker talks a big game. But then he turns around and he guts the organization of the one guy who, again, in all my dealings with the team, I can't tell you if Terry Porch, the guy that manages the field turf, Floyd loved him too. I can't tell you if Terry Porch does a good job taking care of the grass because that's not something I know. But PR and how these teams operate, I know a good PR guy when I see one. Again, I am in constant communication with the PR staffs for all of the teams in town, or at least most of the teams in town. Titans, Predators, Vanderbilt, Sounds, etc. And I know a good PR person when I see one. And for the 10 years that I've been on the radio doing this, Robbie Bourne, didn't matter who the coach was, didn't matter how good the team was, didn't matter how bad the team was, Robbie Bourne was the utmost professional in that capacity. And I understand these jobs aren't forever. I get it. Again, these are very coveted jobs. People would give up their right arm in order to work in the NFL. And so the fact that Robbie did this for 26 years or whatever as the PR director of the Titans is a testament to how good he is at his job. But there's some people in organizations you don't just fire. Even if you think that, I can find somebody that's better with the Excel spreadsheet because of what they mean to the community. And this is that kind of guy. This reminds me of when Mike Vrabel just decided to fire Haas, the equipment manager, because got to have my guys in here. And that's what Chad Brinker's doing. We talk about name, image, and likeness. When it comes to college athletics, Chad Brinker's trying to build this organization in his own name, image, and likeness. They don't even need to be the Titans anymore. They should just be the Brinkers. Since apparently Brinker's going to gut the organization of every meaningful employee who's actually good at their jobs. This is a very troubling news. And I gave it an hour to think about it. And I was like, I'm not just going to, when I saw, again, PK sent out a tweet that they had fired Robbie Bourne or they had parted ways with Robbie Bourne, I thought, you have to be kidding me. You have got to be kidding me. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of people out there that are like, hey, of course the media, if Jared doesn't like it, if PK doesn't like it, it must be a good move. But talk to anybody who covers this team. I bet Joe and Robbie will talk about it tomorrow on their show. Talk to anybody who covers this team that has been doing this for any modicum amount of time. And they'll tell you Robbie Bourne was a good PR man. And not only was Robbie Bourne a good PR man, and I think when you have a good PR man, because I've been around some bad ones, and bad PR people hurt the team. They hurt the bottom line. They hurt the visibility in the city. They hurt the team. They don't hurt the team as bad as a bad trade does or a bad coach does, but they hurt the team now. But I think that anybody that's been doing this, he's a good PR man. He's a really good person. And there are a lot of people that cover this team, that have covered this team for a long time, whose opinions matter in this town, who move the needle in terms of what you think about them, who, I think would share my sentiments, that have a lot of trust with Robbie Bourne. And again, I understand every organization has to evaluate themselves, and how could I sit up here and say, hey, they need to get better coaches and they need to get better players and they need to get, they should do that with every position, right? But I don't think you become a better team by getting rid of people that are not just good at what they do, but are genuinely good people. And the Titans, over the last handful of years, far too many times, have gotten rid of somebody who's been a part of the team when they were successful, that care about being a Titan. It's not just a job. Chad Brinker doesn't give a rat's ass about being a Titan. He was with the Green Bay Packers, and he went to business school and saw all the guys ahead of him, Ted Thompson, and then he retired, and Brian Gutekunst, and Russ Ball, and he saw all these guys and was like, well, I'll never be in charge here. Let me go somewhere where I can go sink my hooks in and can climb the ladder. Robbie Bourne never cared about that. Robbie Bourne, he was a Titan. And I said this when Mike Keith left, and I said, I wonder how much of just the fact that the owner never shows up anymore and that she is an absentee owner, and how much the fact that, everybody around there, whether it's Burke Nihill, the president, I can't believe he let this happen. I'm very, very disappointed in Burke Nihill. And I'm very disappointed. Chad Brinker has always been a my guy, right? My guy syndrome. My coach, my team, my quarterback, my organization, I'm surprised Burke Nihill let this happen. I'm serious about it. I am very disappointed. But you don't get better by getting rid of people like this. Like, you do not get better. And it's the kind of move, like, we've already bought new tickets at the new stadium, and I got a son, and he's 3 months old, and he's watching basketball, and he probably just is watching the colors that move around the screen and is probably enamored by it. But I'm watching my dad watch NCAA tournament basketball with my son, and I'm like, man, that's cool. And I dream of one day the Titans being good and my son loving the Titans and us going to the games and all of that. But this is the kind of thing that makes me personally not want to buy tickets in that stadium, which I've already done. But it makes me want to basically be like, what a crap hole organization this is, with an absentee owner who's put her trust into these two guys that, again, are not trying to build the team into the most successful version of itself, but they're trying to build the team into the most successful version of themselves. It's really disappointing. And again, I'm sure they'll say, oh, well, this guy, this was who we want. This guy was, you'll see this PR guy I'm sure he'll be from the Packers that we hire. This guy, he'll be so good. And I'm not going to sit here and hold it against the other guy that I like, the previous guy. But it's hard for me to really trust anything that I was starting to believe about the Titans hierarchy before this happened. If you notice, I didn't use words like snake recently. But that's hard for me to believe that's not the case. So, nothing I can do about it, just like nothing I could do about the Titans firing the longtime 40-year-old equipment man that had, or 40, not 40-year-old, but had been with the team for 40 years that moved with the team from Houston. Nothing I can do about it, but what an embarrassing organization. What a piece of crap organization the Titans have turned themselves into. It's embarrassing. And Amy, I know bad news travels fast. I like Amy. And I think Amy likes me. But I'll just say this. Burke Nihill and Chad Brinker helped you build a team that has the number one pick in the NFL draft. Burke was there when you hired Rand Carthon and was there when you hired Brian Callahan and ditched Mike Vrabel, and we're going to be so great, kumbaya. And so was Chad Brinker. I don't know why you keep trusting these guys, because this move today is a move that tells me they don't know what they're doing. And I'm really disappointed. And I wish the best for Robbie Bourne. Again, not like every conversation we had was peachy and rosy over the years. But I trusted Robbie Bourne. And I trusted that when I talked to him, I knew that he always valued what was most important to the organization. He protected the organization for 20 plus years. He loved the Titans. This is the kind of guy that you induct into the team's Hall of Fame, and nobody really knows who he is, but everybody who does know knows exactly why he's going in. And I guess it's just disappointing. But that's the days of our Titans. Chad Brinker, he's got all the answers. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. So, again, the Burke Nihill Chad Brinker operation. Boy, they really know winners when they see them, don't they? So I guess that's what's going on around here. The same guys that got you the worst team in the league, they know. And it starts with the P. You know what we need, Jared? We need a new PR director. Ridiculous. 615-737-1025. We are awaiting Cam Ward to take the field at his pro day. We continue. Stillman and Company, 102.5 The Game. Company 1025, 1063 the game. So apparently our text line's out, and we're still waiting for Cam Ward to throw at his pro day. The pro day was scheduled for 3 o'clock. It is 4:23, and Cam Ward's not out there. Again, the Titans have parted ways with longtime PR director Robbie Bourne, and I'm kind of fascinated to see what the text line, if it was working, would say about this. Again, I cannot tell you how much it disappoints me. I mean, I consider Robbie Bourne a friend, just from all the talks we've had over the years, whether it's football related, not football related, the way he's handled sensitive issues with the team, the way he's handled sensitive issues like Floyd having cancer and not wanting anybody to know about it. All the things this franchise has been through, he's been right there, fighting the good fight, a good soldier. And the guys that are responsible for all the losing that's gone on around here, Burke Nihill and Chad Brinker, think, oh, no, we need our guy in there to run this operation. And I've gotten text messages from people that used to work in the organization, people that cover the team that have texted my personal line that, say, hey, very good stuff, very strong segment, I'll just say this. This news today, it makes me not want to be a fan. I love the Titans. And, Robbie Bourne is up there when it comes to knowing about the Titans and loving the Titans and just the tiny, smallest, minor little details. He knows them. He's got great reputation in the NFL. Shireen Williams, who covered the Dallas Cowboys forever, is now at Pro Football Talk. She wrote a whole piece about Robbie at Pro Football Talk, talking about how he got a start as an intern with the Texas Rangers, I think like right around when I was born. And the Titans think they're better off as an organization getting rid of this guy. And I saw one fan tweeted out there, oh, who cares? Oh, they fired people who... And I think Buck fired back a response talking about, the reason that this team is ass is not because of the PR director. But, again, they know better. They're the people that, again, make a move and everybody says, what the hell were they thinking? They know better. And that's the disappointing part. And so, when the Titans went into free agency and they stopped signing injured players and they said, okay, J.C. Latham's going to play right tackle instead of left tackle, I almost thought, man, this organization for the first time in 5 years might be on the right path. This might be the first time this organization took its head out of its ass. And instead, the guys that brought you Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon and ran out Mike Vrabel, and nope, those guys. It's not how you build a winning organization. That's not how you build a winning organization with the owner, saying, you guys deal with it, not me. Empowering those guys not knowing their ass from last Tuesday, which is truly the case. And then an entire society where everybody's worried they're going to get fired every 5 seconds because nobody knows who's really in charge. Where, people in very high positions get ousted with secret searches. It's really disappointing. And I know every single person associated with the Titans at the highest levels. And I can tell you there are a significant amount of them that I do not trust. Do not trust at all. Robbie Bourne was the opposite. All right, enough complaining. And I will say this. I'm waiting for Cam Ward to throw. Clearly, the Miami or the ACC network is waiting for Cam Ward to throw because Mario Cristobal is doing an interview on the ACC network right now. Mario Cristobal already did an interview on the ACC network. The ACC network had somebody named Damian Martinez on their program. And I'm like, who the hell is Damian Martinez? And nobody knows. Nobody, I don't. So we're all waiting on Cam Ward. So when we get to Cam Ward, we'll have Cam Ward throwing, and in its entirety, we continue. Stillman and Company. 615-737-1025, though our text line is down right now. at 615-737-1025. Stillman & Company, 1025, 106 for the game.
A month out from the draft, how likely is it that Tennessee takes Cam Ward?
In a word, Randy, likely. Listen, this is the perfect situation where you have a player who appears to be separating himself in the eye of scouts as the clear number one quarterback in this draft, and you have a team that is obviously in the market for a quarterback in the Tennessee Titans. So, listen, Cam Ward is throwing for the first time of the offseason with scouts present. He didn't do so at the Combine. So, yes, general managers will be assembled, including that of other teams, like the New York Giants at 3, for instance, who could have their eyes on Cam Ward, but it feels very likely that right now the only team that needs to be there watching them is the Tennessee Titans, because for now at least, it feels like the obvious companionship.
Okay, that was Jeff Darlington, and we are getting ready. We've got Cam Ward up, and I believe he is ready to go.
No question. Again, this is
at
like
his ACC Pro Day. This is
truly
coverage courtesy
true
of the ACC Network.
Pros, like right here, this is what we call pat and go. You just give guys opportunities to kind of loosen up their legs. You know, receivers eye the ball, like Eddie talked about, tracking the ball over the shoulder right here. This is literally a specific throw where you want it to finish right over the right shoulder of a receiver if they're holding the red line here. If you guys look at the line on the field, it's orange, but we call that the red line. And so that's just, again, like a pat and go drill right here to start things off to get the receivers nice and loose.
What about those two catches you had just seen, Jacoby George, Xavier Restrepo? You had mentioned, Eddie, throughout this, you just want to see guys catch the ball, no balls hitting the ground.
Yeah, those two catches we just saw are probably the two toughest catches we're going to see all day because you got to fade with the ball while tracking it, while also trying to hold that line that EJ just spoke about and catching the ball in your hands. So great job by them. That's a good start for those guys.
You're going to see Jacoby George was leading off that line, Xavier Restrepo as well, a couple of the tight ends, Elijah Arroyo, Cam McCormick, who spent, 9 years in college. He's trying to take his talents to the next level. All right, Cam Ward, as you're watching this, what's the key, EJ? What's the key for Cam Ward?
Ball shouldn't touch the ground. And if it does touch the ground, if I'm Cam Ward, I don't want it to be on me, right? In the sense of I don't want it to be an air throw. And look, you don't have to be perfect today. Cam's going to go top 2, top 3 in the draft based off of his film. But just for him to kind of put together or put to sleep any questions that might be out there, you just want to have a clean day. And to this point, I haven't seen the ball touch the ground. Really, a receiver drop one. Sorry, Eddie, not to put it on the receivers, but he looks dialed in to me. Boy,
Takes two to
he's ready to go. Oh, yeah.
The ball is jumping out of his hand. It's so impressive to see a tight spiral every single time he throws the ball. And it's just good to see these guys moving. It's good to see Elijah Arroyo out there moving around, dealing with that knee injury. It's good to see him healthy as well.
And I'll also add this too. Like I said, this is still the pat and go drill. So this is like a warm-up drill. But watch the difference in Cam's footwork. He's showing you like catch, set, throw. He's showing you 3 and a hitch. He's showing you all the different variances that you'll have. And again, as much as this is loosening up the receivers, this is also loosening up Cam. You know, it's almost like a shooter, like a Steph Curry, shooting a 3 in pregame warm-up. This is something we all do in practice. We do it in games. And this is just up and down stuff. Very, very simple stuff.
I mean, we saw the extensive warm-up that Cam was going through. And so you could tell that he takes that seriously. But, I mean, this is huge for these guys. There's so much pressure going on right now. So many people watching, probably 200-plus people in here. Every NFL team represented here as well. So this is a big-time day for these guys. But also the little things that I'm watching with the receivers. I was watching who's lining up first. Because that was the thing, as a leader, you always want to be the first one out there to go to set the tone for everybody as well.
And I was seeing Jacoby George running now.
Perfect. Ball right on the face mask right there. Again, that was a 3-step slant by Cam Ward. Now he's in the gun, switching it up. Quick set right there, a little zone read scheme, pulling it, throwing the ball real fast.
Even the different arm angles
Absolutely.
that we talked about.
Absolutely.
We just got a glimpse of that as well.
Absolutely.
There's Elijah Arroyo wearing that 8 on his back. And you'll see around Cam Ward, the man in the black hat,
I just
black
want to point this out again. As you guys watch, like for fans at home, watch his feet. That's the most impressive part about this guy, is because he doesn't have to throw from a perfect platform. And in the NFL, you're really never going to get a perfect platform. Right. Guys like Aaron Rodgers, guys like Patrick Mahomes, the really elite passers in the league, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson's kind of worked himself into that same vein where you realize you can't get your feet and your shoulders lined up every single time because things are happening so fast, but you got to still get the ball out on time. Cam's showing all of that kind of stuff, and it shows up on tape too.
And I'm looking at the quick release, because you talk about timing and release matters. And the fact that he's able to get that ball out so quick is very important for timing when you get to the next level.
Yep. I'm gonna tell you right now, he looks like the first pick in the draft.
Coverage, by the way,
I know this
Cam
is still
Ward's
just
Pro
getting
Day.
started.
This is former wide receiver Eddie Royal and former quarterback EJ Manuel on the ACC Network broadcast.
Even his demeanor. I mean, you could tell that he's all business. Like everything is sharp. Even the tempo that they're going at. I mean, they're going rapid fire out here as well.
One thing about Cam Ward, he's buttoned up. Something I noticed as they were walking across the field to start these drills, he was carrying his own tray of water. And, that's a leader who could have everyone doing everything for him. And
look at the
he's
pinpoint
taking that
accuracy,
ownership.
though. Like this is, again, nobody's covering these receivers, right? So the ball should be on the money every single time. I haven't seen him miss one yet. And truthfully, when you watch his tape, even amidst like the fire, people coming at him and stuff, it's still accurate. A lot of this stuff that Cam Ward does is almost like an extended handoff. You know what I mean? Right. Because as a receiver, you just got to put your hands in the spot and run to that spot. He's going to put it where it's supposed to be, that you do the rest.
But even these guys seen him catch the ball in their hands. Mm-hmm. I mean, you see Restrepo, and that was an easy grab, but he plucked it. Yep. And that's what you need to do. And Coach Dawson talked about him catching the ball and getting up the field. When you're not the biggest guy out there, those are the little things that you need to do.
And seeing this too, is it not obvious the relationship he has with his receivers, as crisp and clean as this is? And I think that's a big part.
How about these drop-ins from
the starting quarterback
whoever this is with those two
these
guys?
Have done this.
He
hundreds
carried
of times.
his own water.
You know what I mean? Like this is almost like riding a bike. Of course, we've seen it on film, but we also have not seen the countless nights, countless days where these guys are in this same facility doing these exact routes, walking through plays, talking about different angles and different alignments and things like that. And again, this is just basic stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect stuff.
They're flying out here, man. This is an intense workout. These receivers are flying off the ball like we spoke about that they needed to do. And you could tell, man, it's all go. I can only imagine how intense these practices were.
Focusing on Xavier Restrepo here, what are you seeing?
Yeah, just clean at the top of the route. Great job coming back to the ball and being able to secure the catch. And that's what you expect out of him.
Yeah, I just love the body language from Cam. I mean, you can tell like this is surgical stuff, like just the footwork, him, orienting who he wants to run a route, play action pass here, a little bootleg, get the ball out on the edge, perfect spot right there. I mean, all Elijah Arroyo had to do was put his hands out. Again, this is first overall pick kind of stuff. You know what I mean? The way you see the ball coming out. I'm telling you, everybody's gonna come out of this throwing session saying he's the number one pick, guaranteed. Off of what I've already seen.
The fact that we had no question about it.
No question.
We're coming into this thing being impressed as well.
Yep.
And the ball comes out with zip, but it's also catchable. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Some quarterbacks throw the ball and they put a lot of heat on it, and it's not catchable. Cam throws a very catchable ball.
That's a great point.
Talking about draft order, Tennessee Titans currently hold that number one overall pick, followed by the Cleveland Browns, New York Giants, Patriots, which we know they have Drake May at QB, Jags there in the 5th spot. So all 32 teams here, though, not just to watch Cam, but the other members of this Miami football team as well.
You know what? Sometimes it's getting a scouting report on the guy you're going to have to face.
Absolutely.
Maybe once or twice a year. Yep. And so they're coming to see what he does well and what he doesn't do well. But they're going to walk away impressed just like everybody else.
And you know what this might create, too? If a team like the Cleveland Browns or the New York Giants, who don't have the first pick, you might have teams that have conversations amongst themselves like, you know what, we got to go get this guy.
Right.
Based off what you've seen today. And I know there's some other really good quarterbacks in this draft. Shedeur Sanders is, also in that same tier with a Cam Ward as far as his, prowess. I know he has his draft or his pro day coming up soon, but I'm telling you, just to see this up close from our viewpoint, I mean, this looks like first overall type body right here. Easily.
Jacoby George.
Oh, yes, sir. Right on the red line. You see that red line I talked about. So that's where you want the receiver to kind of aim. And that was truly just Cam showing off right there. Because, a lot of times you want to get that ball up around 35 yards for a receiver to run under if he's covered. But that's Cam getting an opportunity to really hang it out there so these scouts can see the range from Jacoby George, but also see the arm strength from Cam Ward. Beautiful.
Clean footwork right there. No hesitation at all. Getting in and out of his break. Something that he needs to do. I mean, you're going to see that time and time again at the next level from him. I love him as a prospect. Like I said, I can't speak enough on how unimportant that 40-yard dash is for a receiver like him.
And that's where Xavier Restrepo is going to make a lot of his money. The same with Elijah Arroyo, who just caught that basic route right there. Shannon Dawson talked about it. In between 5 to 15 yards is where you really make a lot of your money as an offense. And to see those guys run some of those interior routes like that, real smooth, real crisp, and then the ball to be put right on their face mask is exactly what you want.
Also, EJ, you got to give a lot of credit to the Miami coaching staff.
For sure.
These guys look well coached and very professional out here. So it's not just these guys, it's the coaching that they got from the U as well.
This is Cam Ward's Pro Day coverage presented by the AC, or coverage brought to you by courtesy of the ACC Network. As Cam Ward is throwing, that is Taylor Tannenbaum, along with Eddie Royal, the former wide receiver, and EJ Manuel, the former quarterback.
That Coach Cristobal is kind of created here in Miami as well.
Standard's been set for sure. And I was talking to head coach Mario Cristobal earlier, and when he got here that spring, they had just one player drafted out of Miami in the 7th round, nearly broke their draft streak. Today they have 20 guys working out and several that are going to go between the 1st and 2nd rounds. Tells you everything that he's done here in Coral Gables.
You know what I also like too, Eddie, is this isn't rushed. We all know really why we came here today, why all the 32 teams are here today, is to see Cam Ward. But I love the fact that this is his stage. He's not rushing through this workout. I think that's also probably him and his coach, Daryl, just kind of say, look, we're going to take our time and go through this thing. You got to keep in mind, too, the receivers get a little gassed. Cam just taking a 5-step drop, but, receivers also need to keep their air and all those kinds of things. But I like how the tempo and the smooth pace of this entire workout is going. Perfect. Perfect.
You just chuckle a little bit because it's easy, it looks like.
In the NFL, that's open. You know what I mean? Like, that's throwing guys open. In the league, Eddie knows this. He can speak to it even more. You're going to have a hand right on you when that ball comes there. It has to be at the perfect spot. Like I said, it's almost an extended handoff when he throws the football, because receivers got to put his hand out there, bring it in. Same thing. Boom.
That's a touch
it's
throw.
Effortless. Yeah,
that's one throw that sometimes a quarterback will try to drive, but then those linebackers right there, they can get a hand on it and tip it. Cam put just enough touch on that ball, just enough air underneath that ball to get it over the backers.
Absolutely.
We've had a lot of conversations about this through the years, about the velocity of a throw too, and how perfect that needs to be. And it varies from quarterback to quarterback, but Cam's, it seems to be perfect.
It also varies from throw to throw.
Right.
And that's when you know you're seeing a great quarterback, is when that can vary and he can know when to drive a ball, when to throw it with touch, or when to give a little loft on it. And Cam does that perfectly. I love the release. I love the footwork, and I love the touch that he's throwing with.
Now watch him have some touch here on McCormick. Boom. Because I always was taught too, tight ends, they can catch, but they're not receivers. So sometimes, though they're big bodies, like Eddie's saying, you got to give them a friendly pass to where at the end of the day, I need you to catch the football. I'm not trying to show off how strong my arm is. That's something I had to learn too, truthfully, like kind of taking something off of it for the receiver to do his job and make me look even better.
EJ, but also when you play with this certain
ball
amount
hit the
of
ground
timing that Cam Ward does, you don't have to throw it with too much zip because you're throwing on time.
Absolutely.
That's when you're allowed to put a little bit more air under it because you hit your back foot and that ball is out.
Absolutely. And I love how they're redoing this rep right here. So either Cam didn't know what route it was, or either it was just a miss, but they got right back to it, re-racked it, ran a quick out route, boom, check that box off and move on to the next one.
But you talk about being competitive.
Yep.
That's a sign of it right there.
Let's get it right.
I want to be perfect on my pro day.
You know what I love too, from offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson, talking about that snap and clear, like that short-term memory. That is so important. And truthfully, a lot of guys don't have that. Like it might be easier to say, but when you're playing against Denver and you're on the road and you throw a pick six, your teammates looking at you like, hey man, come on, we got to move on. And to have that short-term memory as a quarterback is everything, because internally you feel awful. It's embarrassing to throw a pick six. Everybody gonna talk about it on sports, all these kinds of things, but you still have you have time left on the clock. And I think Cam Ward gets that part. Like, it's not just about him. You got to go out there and perform for your teammates as well. So I thought that was a great compliment he got from his OC today too.
I actually feel like it's a skill set.
It is though.
Because everybody's not born with it.
Nope.
And so some people just have it and others got to learn it. And that's a hard thing to learn. As you see right there, Jacoby George trying to bring in a ball. Look, that's exactly where you got to put it.
Absolutely.
And Cam did his part, and as a receiver, you want to be able to make that play for your quarterback. And so we might see them do that one over again. But speaking about Cam and erasing those plays, I mean, you need to just get things going,
For
get
sure.
things rolling. You throw an interception, come back, still be aggressive.
Right.
Because as a receiver, I don't want to see your demeanor change at all.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at you as the quarterback for the confidence for this team.
Absolutely. And I think the other part for fans at home watching this, don't feel like if you see a missed throw or if you see a drop, scouts aren't writing that about guys. Like, scouts don't care about that. You know what I mean? Like, how's the next play? Did you come back and re-rack that route? I wouldn't be shocked if Jacoby George runs that same exact route just to check the box off.
Scouts
Because, again,
don't
this is
care if you miss a throw or drop a
workout.
pass,
So,
eh?
This one, who cares, man? Move on and do it again if you have the opportunity.
AJ, and to be honest with you, not to make excuses, it's a little tight over there.
I was going to say, and they're asking him to move right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're asking him to
you
move.
feel a little bit more comfortable catching that ball.
Absolutely.
The last thing you want is to come away with this thing from an injury, running into somebody or running into a camera.
Yeah, I don't know if we can catch that on camera, but they're having the people who are around there where Jacoby George was running that route move, so
Love it.
they can have enough space.
Love it. But I also did like that Xavier Restrepo, if we were able to see it 2 throws ago, was in the backfield. He ran a quick Texas route. So again, Restrepo showing his range, not that he's just a slot receiver or outside receiver. He also can get in the backfield too if you need him to, and play those positions where you might have 10 personnel, 1 running back or whatever, and 4 receivers. He can do multiple things. It's very good.
And I talked about maybe possibly New England being a location for Restrepo.
Yeah.
They will have him doing routes like that from the backfield.
Absolutely. Because again, imagine if you put him in the backfield, who's covering him? A linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win for Restrepo 10 times out of 10. So again, a really good job by him putting this in the script. And that's why the cool part about today is not just about Cam Ward. You're also being able to show these other teammates that you have who made him look good this year. Now, Cam made them look good as well. Don't get me wrong. But that's why, the pro day is so important, not just for QB1, who's probably going to be a top 2, top 3 pick in the draft, but also for these other guys who are going to get drafted as well. It's important.
EJ, what's the most difficult thing as a rookie NFL quarterback that Cam Ward, as great as he is, will inevitably face?
A little bit of it is producing your own confidence. And that's why to have that elite confidence is very important in your first couple of.
Okay, it looks like Cam Ward's taking a little bit of a break, so we'll take a break too. Again, coverage of Cam Ward's Pro Day from the ACC Network will continue when Cam continues. We'll do it next. Stillman Co. 102.5 The Game. Stillman Company, we continue coverage of Cam Ward's pro day from the ACC network. Ward did have one ball drop the ground or hit the ground. It was a drop by the receiver. So not going to put that on Cam Ward, but so far so good. We continue with the ACC network's coverage.
Now you got Arroyo lining up at route receiver, Eddie. Let's see what you think about his route out here from out wide. Tight end.
Burst off the line.
Look at that. Fluid.
Catch, feet in bounds.
Man.
Play.
You mentioned it.
It's 245 pounds doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
When nerves happen, you maybe lose catching with your hands and you try to catch with your body. Haven't seen a ton of that out here.
No, I mean, these guys are professionals.
So look,
and that's what separates guys, to be honest with you.
The thing is, too, but when the quarterback puts it at a spot where you have to catch it with your hands.
Right.
And again, I'm not trying to take nothing from the receivers, but the way he is accurately, and this isn't just today, like this is his tape. This is what you see on film.
It's who he is.
Yeah, it's who he is. And, you know, that's why I knew Jaden Daniels would have success and C.J. Stroud, these guys early in their careers, because they're marksmen when it comes to accuracy. And you're going to have some moments where you struggle. But if you can be accurate, I mean, look at that.
But also the run after the catch.
Absolutely.
Put that ball
It's a
right
handoff.
there where I don't have to slow down to catch it, where I can still be full speed.
You're right in the
That's
phase.
when big plays happen.
Oh, yeah.
It's not when I'm slowing down and catching the ball in my body.
Yep.
It's when you're allowing me to keep my stride and then be able to accelerate afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah, cool, calm, collected, man. I love the way that this thing has gone. Now they're watering down. And this is even a part of it, right? Like he's joking. Yeah, he's having fun, man.
Ultimate
Like not being too serious about it, but also not missing either. You know what I mean? So you can tell like he's completely fine being in this moment. And there is some weight to when you're the number one overall pick in the NFL. It's a huge stigma, you know, until you kind of get past that moment of like where you have success, you win some games, you win some playoff games, all those kinds of things. Now, I wasn't the first overall pick, but I got friends who were, and they've talked about that. Like, it's a lot to live up to. It really is. And Cam Ward, without a doubt, the mental makeup that he has, he's more than prepared to be that guy, without a doubt.
Tell he just wants to be one of the guys.
That's it.
He doesn't want to stand out. He doesn't want to be the guy that everybody's looking. He just wants to be a part of that locker room and be another guy. And that's huge for a quarterback because sorry, EJ.
Yeah,
they're all
no
not
doubt.
like that.
No doubt. No doubt. I want to add something after this throw here.
Route.
Perfect.
Nice hand sketch.
The other thing that's cool
That was not a good
about
throw.
Cam Ward, we see him as this finished product going into the NFL, but he was unrecruited really coming out of high school.
0 stars.
0 stars, whatever you want to call it. Goes to Incarnate Word, breaks all the records, go to Washington State, breaks records, comes to Miami, breaks records, wins games. But like this is one of the cool stories about the transfer portal. This is one of the cool stories about college football. Beyond him being potentially first or second pick in the draft, like this is a self-made guy that truly got it out the mud. And I think that makes me respect him even more. Because this is somebody who really bet on himself. He wanted to go into the draft last year. He said, you know what, I'm going to give myself one more year to figure it out, get better. And, I mean, the value, he probably made himself. Look at this throw. Come on, man. Come on, bro.
Let's go home.
It's over.
Let's go home.
Roll
The
it to his
draft today,
left.
the Titans want to know.
Roll it to his left. Fading back. On the money. Easy. Flick of the wrist.
It's that wild throw. You know,
I want to watch this. I'm gonna pull this one back. I want to watch this throw
It's over.
again.
Even more.
I believe
Chris
this
wins
throw
games. But like,
from
this is
Cam
what- this is one of
Ward
the cool stories about
was
the
a
transfer portal. This is one of the cool
roll to
stories
his
about
left,
football. Beyond him being
throw the
potentially
ball.
first or
I want to
second pick in
get
the draft.
figure out exactly how many
Like,
yards.
this is a
I
self-made
think
guy
this
that
is
truly got it
40
out the
yards on
mud.
a
And I
line
think that makes me
that
respect
Cam
him
Ward
even more.
made.
Because
Again,
this is somebody
no
who really
defense
bet on
there,
himself.
but
He wanted to go
I
into the
want to
draft
see this
last year.
again. Here
He
you
said,
go.
you know what, I'm gonna give myself one more year to figure it out, get better. And I mean, the value, he probably made himself. Look at this throw. Come on, man.
He threw it from the 4-yard line
It's
and
over.
hit Restrepo at the 10.
Roll it
The
to his
draft today,
left.
the Titans want to know.
Roll it to his left. Fading back. On the money. Easy. Flick of the wrist.
It's that wild throw. You know,
And that's a game type throw.
You want to see the normal stuff,
Yep.
the hit the back foot and throw the ball, but you also want to see those wild throws. And I mean, that's why all these people are here as well.
No
You want to
question.
put on the show.
Yep.
And
No
that was a
question.
good start right there.
I'm telling you right now, he's the first pick in the draft.
He's got to be.
And the only way he's not is if like Tennessee wants to take Travis Hunter. You know what I mean? Like just off of like, or Abdul Carter, whatever. But I really believe he's going to be the first quarterback taken in this draft.
So everybody got caught up with the hype of generational talent. What if Tennessee views Cam Ward as a generational
Absolutely. Right. True.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody got caught up into that word. What we're watching could potentially be a generational
No
talent.
question. Another cool part too about Tennessee, you know, I know their head coach Brian Callahan. He was my quarterback coach in Oakland. He's a young head coach, right? I think he's going in his second year. So this makes sense, really. If Callahan believes that Cam's his guy, they kind of tie their boats together and they start this journey together. And Nashville is a great town, great football town as well. So tell you what, I'm telling you, scouts are going to come out of here saying this is the number 1 overall pick.
Wow. You say wow.
Yeah.
That's all you can say.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's still got more throws.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But even to this point, I don't know if we're halfway through the workout, but he's answering whatever questions there might be around him.
Okay, that was ACC Network coverage of Cam Ward's pro day. I have a reaction to what I've seen. And Jim Wyatt has a video out that after making a throw, Cam Ward went over and said something to Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi. So Cam Ward, fully competitive so far. Get some thoughts in on the pro day, and we'll get back to it next. Stillman & Company, 102.5 The Game. Stillman and Company 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. We are live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, and we are presented by the Southern Bank of Tennessee. Cam Ward still on the football field throwing at his Miami Pro Day. I will say this, the early stuff where he was kind of chucking the ball deep and I kind of liked what I saw. He got zip on the ball. He's putting the ball on receivers. He's airing the ball out down the field. Now they've moved into this high red zone, and Cam's starting to miss some throws. Cam missed a guy in the corner of the end zone, threw the ball out of bounds, threw under Restrepo that Restrepo thinks he caught in bounds. I'm not sure he got both feet in bounds. So here's kind of my big takeaway, and we'll get back if something happens. We'll get back out to Cam's Pro Day if we need to. The ACC networks broadcast, and I mean this with no disrespect, but the ACC networks broadcast was a little over the top for me. Again, I've seen some Homer stuff, but my goodness. After every throw was like, this is why he's the greatest quarterback that ever lived, and Jake, I don't know how much more I can listen to that.
No, I'm kind of with you.
Just way too much.
It's the underwear Olympics. It's just like the
I care about that. That stuff matters. How you perform, that matters. The commentary of after every throw going, oh my God, look at that slant where he. So here's what I saw from Cam. And granted, the workout is not over, and I am keeping my eye. If you're looking at the stream, I'm not really looking at the camera. I'm looking at, the monitor. He just threw one high in the back of the end zone, but I'm actually okay with that. Because, again, if you throw high in the back of the end zone, and I heard Cam talk about this in an interview he did at the Combine, if you throw high in the back of the end zone and you miss, what is it? It's incomplete. If you miss in the back of the end zone but you don't throw the ball high, it's an interception. Points off the board. So that I'm okay with. But I will say when it comes to Cam's got good arm strength. I don't think he's got great arm strength, but he's got good arm strength, and he put it on display today. He's got good athleticism. Again, he's not Michael Vick. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Jaden Daniels, but he's a good athlete. He's very fluid. A lot of guys were kind of more run and then stop and throw. Cam can throw on the run, which is very impressive, which I do like, and he has put that on display today at his Pro Day. Here's where I worry a little bit when it comes to Cam Ward. I worry, and I'm noticing this in some of these throws at the Pro Day, that the short to intermediate accuracy, which is pretty much all footwork, the short to intermediate accuracy is lacking a little bit. Now, I'm sure there will be excuses. Oh, the receiver was supposed to be here, and he was there, and he was... But again, when you're making a short throw, like these tight window, short slot throws, ball has to be on the hands. This is the NFL. This isn't college. In college, you can throw it a little high, you can throw it a little wide, you can throw it a little, and that's fine. Because the defenders aren't good enough to be all over the receiver. In the NFL, they're going to be all over the receiver. Cam can make the wow throw. And Cam made the wow throw on a consistent basis when he was in college, where there'd be games holy crap, look at that throw. But at the same time, can Cam put the ball accurately where it needs to be on 3rd and 6? And that's, what I worry about a little bit. Cam just took one where he ran and scrambled to the right, and he chucked it into the back of the end zone for a receiver, and the ball was, again, missed high. As I've said, it's okay to miss high when you're throwing in the end zone, because as Cam points out, you throw high and you miss in the end zone, incomplete. But I have seen probably 4 or 5 balls hit the ground, which is never a good sign in a pro day. You want to be locked on for each and every one of them. That being said, as I continue to monitor Cam Ward's pro day, the reality is, was it enough that we saw for Cam to be the number 1 pick in the draft? I think it is. Now, is it enough that all of a sudden I'm sitting there and saying, oh, yes, you've got to use that pick on Cam Ward. No. Again, too many balls hit the ground. Again, that short, intermediate accuracy. Just threw one behind a receiver on a little out route. But I will say this. I do think that I've seen a bad pro day before. I've covered a bad pro day before. And it was Teddy Bridgewater's in 2014, and Teddy decided not to wear the gloves. Obviously Teddy Bridgewater wears the 2 gloves. He decided not to wear the gloves, and the ball hit the ground a bunch. A bunch of NFL guys. Cam missed a guy wide open. I got to tell you, the low red zone stuff for Cam has not looked good. I still think Cam's probably done enough to be picked number 1. For the Titans to say, oh, look at this one, and oh, look at that one. But the low red zone, I'm a little concerned here watching Cam Ward as far as the low red zone and hitting guys in the end zone and everything else is concerned. The distinguished gentleman said in the YouTube chat, the guy that we originally thought was Ransburner, said, Cam is balling, stop the hate. Stop incompleting the pass. Again, this low red zone, when he's throwing it deep, it's been pretty good, but this low red zone stuff's getting a little concerning. Oh, Cam just threw one through the goalpost. Not sure how I felt about that. But again, all of his misses in the end zone, at least, again, are missing high. See what they're saying on the ACC broadcast. See if they're still slobbering over Cam.
But still, see, that's Cam Ward, though. Like, you know what I mean?
Good with the bad, right?
It is what it is.
And he's going to have fun.
You try it, but he put it in a spot where it was safe. It's thrown away. You can move on to the second or third down. You get another opportunity at it. But I think, again, his script is emulating who he is as a quarterback. I think that's really important.
I go back to Patrick Mahomes, right? They do some crazy things, and it looks like they have fun playing football. That's what you want. It's so serious, and you're so tense. Everything's always so focused. But when you can go out there and find some way to have some fun, then you play better as well. You're a little bit more relaxed, and it was good to see those guys out there laughing, having a good time.
Absolutely.
Why'd you like that throw?
Well, one, that's a play that you see on tape for him, right? And pocket movement.
This is ACC Network's coverage of Cam Ward's program.
Back up, defensive end gets in your face, and then you see a guy flash open. The ability to quick set, get it out, different arm angle on the spot. There's a little backyard football to Cam, and that's what's fun about it. And truthfully, in today's game, it's more accepted.
Ball hit the ground.
I like that throw, though. I'm okay with that. I like that throw. But the thing about the quarterback position, maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the way you were coached was a bit more robotic, right? Like it was 5 in the hitch, 7 in the hitch. Now you have the athleticism being embraced by teams and by coaches. And it used to not be that way. Truthfully, I think now to play the game, you got to be athletic. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what he's showing here today on this pro day. Great throw. That's fine.
Obstructed a little bit by the awning, but he caught that. One thing I don't.
Okay, so enough of that ACC Network stuff. But even then, you can hear a different tune when it comes to the ACC Network now that Cam's been throwing kind of in that low red zone, and it hasn't been great. We continue. We'll get some phones. We'll get some texts. We'll get the text line back up, 615-737-1025. Again, I think Cam probably did enough at the beginning of his workout that it probably solidifies it'll be the number 1 pick. But I am worried about a little bit of this low red zone stuff. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Yeah, I just love the body language from Cam. I mean, you can tell like this is surgical stuff. You know, like just the footwork, him, you know, orienting who he wants to run a route, play action pass here, a little bootleg, get the ball out on the edge, perfect spot right there. I mean, all Elijah Arroyo had to do was put his hands out. Again, this is first overall pick kind of stuff. You know what I mean? The way you see the ball coming out. I'm telling you, everybody's gonna come out of this throwing session saying he's the number 1 pick, guaranteed. Off of what I've already seen.
The fact that we had no question about it.
No question.
We're coming into this thing being impressed as well.
Pass in which Xavier Restrepo threw the ball to Cam Ward as a receiver. They all jumped up and down and celebrated. So Cam Ward's workout was fine. It was good enough to cement his spot as the number 1 pick. But I don't think it was as good as everybody's making it out to be. First of all, the one highlight where Cam did do something pretty impressive, where he ran to his left, off balance, threw the ball 48, 57 yards, whatever it was, down the field. Very nice play. That one little cut is going to get blown up all over social media. That was not the entirety of the workout. If you watch the entirety of the workout, it's a little inaccurate. You know, I'd like to see how Shedeur Sanders ends up comparing to Cam Ward as far as the 2 workouts are concerned, to kind of see Cam and what I thought was a little inaccurate, especially kind of in that high red zone. Thought he struggled a little bit with his accuracy. And then I want to see how that compares to Shedeur, again, going up with no defense that he's facing. But here's what Cam Ward absolutely did not do. And this is, again, the ACC network. I believe NFL Network was also showing the pro day, and I wonder if their commentators were a little less biased. But this is what Eddie Royal, the wide receiver, said after watching the workout. This was kind of his takeaway from Cam Ward's passing workout just moments ago.
All right, you're a general manager or a head coach in here. You're leaving saying what, Eddie?
Can't pass up on this guy. There's no way we're trading that pick. I don't care what you offer. I'm not answering the phone. I'm unplugging the phone after seeing this workout. Yep. And he's number 1 overall. I write it down right now in a Sharpie, and I get ready to send it into the commissioner as soon as I could.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I really believe he's going to
So I got to stop it there. Again, this idea of like, oh, man, this workout was so good that we got to send it in. We got to put it down right now. We got to just lock him in as the number. That was not how good that workout was. Again, I didn't see Joe Burrow's workout. In fact, I don't think Joe Burrow had a workout because of COVID. But I didn't see like those workouts where it's like, oh, my God, look at this. Supposedly, Bo Nix's private workout, and Cam Ward will have a private workout with the Titans. And we will not see that. That's why it's, private. But apparently in Bo Nix's private workout, Sean Payton walked away saying, wow, he was accurate. Wow, that was, and I can work with that. Again, I was stunned when they took him with the 12th pick too, talking about Bo Nix. But apparently that was kind of how Sean Payton felt. It was, wow, I can work with this guy. I did not feel that way. When it came to Cam, again, the accuracy concerned me a little bit. He missed a bunch of passes high in the end zone. And I know he said when he was talking at the combine, he talked about, hey, Coach Dawson, the OC at Miami, taught us, hey, you're going to miss in the end zone, miss high. Because if you miss high in the end zone, it's an incompletion, which I think we can all agree with. You'd rather have an incompletion than a turnover. But this was throwing on air. I mean, I understand the idea that, hey, if there was a defender there, let's treat it like there is one, but too many passes hit the ground. I heard those guys, again, pumping the sunshine with the ACC network broadcast. They started this off saying, I don't expect a single ball to hit the ground. And there were probably 10, 15 passes that hit the ground for whatever that's worth. So, again, I was concerned. Cam Ward up next with the ACC network crew. We'll do that. Stillman and Company, 615-737-1025. And then we will hit your phones. We will hear what Cam Ward has to say with the ACC network crew. It's funny because I've got some people that are, texting in saying, oh my goodness, I couldn't listen to the ACC network people anymore. Oh man, I couldn't do this. I couldn't that. But again, it wasn't perfect. It was fine. He's going to be the number one pick. We'll get to Cam with the ACC network. We'll do it next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Stillman and Company, Cam Ward's pro day in the books. Mike Renner, CBS, saying that there was nothing that he saw from the Cam Ward pro day that would dissuade him from thinking Ward should go 1-1 in the draft. Meanwhile, the ACC network crew, Taylor Tannenbaum, Eddie Royal, and EJ Manuel, along with Louis Riddick, caught up with Cam Ward after his pro day.
Session. He's joining us now along with Louis Riddick. Cam, you come into the day knowing what you wanted to do. How would you assess what actually transpired out there today?
I went exactly how I wanted to, from the script, things that I really wanted to, get out there besides, all the crazy scramble drill stuff I just wanted to throw out there at the end. But we got what we need to hit for not only myself but the receiver corps. Even the routes that they got back that they wanted to work on, whether it's a bad route by them or not. So I think all of us, we got what we wanted to out of the day.
What's the main thing you want to showcase to all of these scouts out here today?
Just throwing on rhythm. When my back foot hits the turf and let the ball out, staying with a good base, staying compact, not overstriding, when I'm throwing the ball. So I think I did all that, at a consistent level today. I've been working it for 4 months now, so I'm just glad I can finally put the script on the field.
Cam, how important was it to save your throwing for today? Not just for yourself, but also your other teammates that are going to the draft as well.
It was real important, especially the position I'm in. We had every team in the NFL here, so I know my name had something to do with it, but I know the guys that I played with, they had something to do with it too. So it was good for all of us, to do our skills out here in front of all 32 teams, from the receiver corps, Tyler Barron out here, Kiko doing drills. So I think it just benefited everybody.
Cam, everyone wanted to see you throw here today, but what was more important to me is really your journey and where you've come from to where you've arrived at today and where you're going to go even from here. Talk a little bit about your journey and why it's so special and why kids should look up to you, given where the kind of things you're about to achieve when the draft night rolls around.
Believe in God and have, just a work ethic that pushes you no matter how hard you think you can push yourself. I think the only, two things that can stop you is not being able to work and not having the mindset to work every day. You have to be consistent in what you do. You can't have one day on, one day off. And I just think the more you do that, it's helped me. Continue to help me in the long run. So just, for all the kids to continue to push themselves. Good days is better than your bad days is better than your good days. And so I had a lot of bad over in my past. So I plan on having a lot more bad days. I plan on having a lot more good and great days as well. So, just got to be able to stay level-headed, stay the same, don't get too high, too low, and everything work out.
There you go.
Cam, I look over and I see your mom and I see your dad. 57 games and they've never missed one. When you think about their sacrifices they've made, what comes to mind?
Just everything. Draft night be special. I think it'd be more special for them than it is for me. I just want to play in the NFL. But I'm blessed to have two good parents like that who, I really didn't need anything growing up. I was able to, eat every day, put clothes on my back. So they sacrificed a lot of work and time to get me to where I am. I'm just glad they get to experience it with me.
Cam, how was the process with, going through Combine, I think East-West Shrine game you were at, and getting a chance to meet with some of these coaches? I know Brian Callahan, he was my coach when I was in Oakland as a quarterback coach, but you've got a chance to sit down with these guys, talk through the film. How's that process been for you?
It's been good. Going in there being myself. First thing I told him, I'm a gunslinger. That's who I am. That's who I'll ever be. Every day I step on the field, I think I'm the best player. I think that's what they know what they're getting out of me. Every organization who continues, to scout me, on the field and off the field. I just think what I can bring, to my teammates, the camaraderie I can bring. I just think that's something that team should be looking out for.
I'll finish it up just by asking you this: what does it mean to you to be the number one overall pick? It means a little bit something, I think, to everybody. If we're put in that position, what does it mean to you?
I've been battling that since I was in a position, since I got the UIW. I always knew I'd be one of the top draft picks. The whole world didn't see it, but I seen it from the jump. All I needed was, a little bit of spotlight. I got that. So I think it'd mean more to my parents than what it ever mean to me. I just want to lace up the cleats, throw the football, be around the guys. And so it's going to be a special moment for sure for myself, just because the hard work I put in. But at the end of the day, it don't mean nothing. Draft pick, doesn't mean anything. The first round doesn't separate itself for the second round. So, at the end of the day, every draft pick who gets chosen this year, they got to go in, they got to go get it during camp.
That's right.
Cam, if there's one game that you wanted, that only scouts could watch, just one game from this past year, which game would you tell them to put on?
Cal. Wasn't my best game. just as a whole. But it just showed that, I don't get too high or too low. The game not over till the clock says 0. And just being able to stay composed is, the biggest thing you have to have as a quarterback. I think that game I got better situationally on first and second down as I got throughout the season, and that was a big thing that I want to, work on. Even today during the script in my mind, it wasn't really what route, what throw it was. It was more me like first and second down, what I got to get to. The ball's out now. So I was thinking more game than just throwing the script wise. So I think that was the best game probably to watch for myself.
Cam, based on the last play of the script out here, are you putting receiver on your resume as well?
Oh yeah, I'm 1-for-1 with a touchdown. Okay. And we got Restrepo, his little touchdown there. He threw a good ball right here, right, like it. And so it was good to finish it off like that.
Before we let you go, I know this will always be home. You'll always have a home here in Coral Gables, only being here for a year. But as you get ready to walk out and head into this next chapter, how would you sum up what your year at the University of Miami has meant for you?
It meant a lot. Just blessing from God. He's blessed myself, my teammates, to put everyone in positions like this. The community, they welcome me in with open arms. But this is probably just one of the best locker rooms I've been around, especially with guys from all over who at the end of the day don't have no egos. They just want to get in and get better every day. And so we surround you guys like that, a team like we had, coaching staff that we had, you be able to win some games in the long run.
Cam, it's been a pleasure to cover you. Congrats on a great day, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Cam.
Okay, Cam Ward on the ACC Network. And I got to say, I found his answer about the Cal game very fascinating because I did watch the Cal game, and there were some wow when it comes to Cal. There was or when it comes to Cam, there also was a lot of what was he thinking? What was he doing? What? And again, they're going to have to work that out. One thing I do wonder, and my big takeaway from the Cam Ward Pro Day was he did enough to solidify himself in this draft as the number 1 pick. Now, is he the best player in the draft? No, he's not the best player. Is he the best quarterback in the draft? Yeah, he probably is the best quarterback. But what I think bothers me more when it comes to the whole Cam Ward thing and everything else about picking him and his pro day, he missed on a lot of short and intermediate throws. Just, again, ball needs to be chest high, and instead it's head high. And I don't know if you can get away with that in the NFL. And that's concerning. And that's the kind of thing that I believe Patrick Mahomes had trouble with when he was at Texas Tech or when he was coming out, that Kansas City said, let's stick him on the bench. And let's work that out of him for whatever that's worth. Sam texts into the text line and says, and our phone lines, by the way, are driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, says, hey, Jared, Sam, a major fan from New York City. Love that you put on the ACC network for us. This is great. By the way, Jake, you might know this better than I would. Does the ACC network, is that not all across the country? Is that not on every cable provider for the most part throughout the country? Like if you're in California, you don't get I guess they have Cal and Stanford, but do you get the ACC network in California or Phoenix or?
I don't think so. I think it's all regional, right? So like there were some of the hotels we went with for Vanderbilt this year, like Texas didn't have the SEC network yet or something like that. So I think it's just regional based on if you have an ACC team near you.
Okay. That's kind of interesting. But then again, isn't Syracuse in New York?
I guess it is. So yeah, it should be all up and down the East Coast, right? You would think, because they go all the way from Syracuse to Miami.
So it says, I just did a Google search. The ACC network is available in New York through Charter, Spectrum, Cox, DirecTV, Dish Network, Fubo, Hulu, Sling TV, and YouTube TV. So it is available there. So thanks, Sam. He continues and says, I feel like drafting Cam Ward is like getting dealt an ace in blackjack. There's a 31% chance he's your guy of the future, and you definitely take that bet. Do you think his odds of being a franchise quarterback are better or worse than 31% to you? It's a very fair question. Here's the difference, though. When it comes to playing blackjack, and we're talking about like real blackjack in the casino where there's 8 decks and you cut it and there's no real way to count cards, or at least you got to be a lot freaking smarter than me to be able to count those cards. When you get an ace, you're just hoping. You have no control over the situation. Like no knowledge base that would tell you, man, I really think a 6 is coming here instead of a jack. There's no way to be able to know that. When it comes to evaluating a quarterback prospect, when you're an NFL general manager, and I'm not talking about the Titans who have a senior assistant general manager as their general manager, and Chad Brinker is the real general manager, but when you have a real general manager in the NFL, a talent evaluator, it's that guy's job to be able to try to up those odds. And it's that guy's job in multiple ways. It's not just his job as a talent evaluator to say, yeah, I think this guy does have a 31% chance of being a franchise quarterback. But it's about saying, okay, number one, does he have the talent and the raw ability to be a franchise quarterback? With Cam Ward, I have a hard time getting there. He's got talent. I mean, he's got talent and he's got a little wow. But I have a hard time getting there with the idea that he's more than just the best quarterback in a bad class. So that's the first thing. The second thing you then have to decide is, okay, if we coach him with our coaches and our coaches good enough to be able to do this, Chad Brinker wanted to fire Brian Callahan. So when it comes to his belief in Callahan, the answer is probably not very high. Do we have the coaches in place, and do we have the team in place, the offensive line in place, the receivers in place? Do we have those things in place for him to be successful? And then comes the mental makeup, which again is when push comes to shove and this guy throws 2 interceptions, can he let it go on play number 8 where, hey, you've got to go win us the game in the next drive? When the entire city is calling in saying bench him, put in the backup quarterback, does he have the stones to completely ignore that? And again, once you go through that phase, that process, then you should have a better chance of being able to evaluate that. Again, do you think it's an accident that Sean Payton got it right at quarterback with Bo Nix when nobody else saw it? Do you think it's an accident that Andy Reid was the one that drafted Mahomes and had a perfect plan in place for Mahomes and executed the plan in place for Mahomes? Sometimes it's luck. The Brady thing with the Patriots, that's luck. But for the most part, it's about these guys having the knowledge of what they're looking for in a franchise quarterback and what they have to do on their end in order to build an infrastructure for somebody to be a franchise quarterback. I'm going to say this about Will Levis. Levis's personality rubs me the wrong way. The mayonnaise commercials and always trying to be cool and going out to Cabo and putting it all over social media. And his personality rubs me the wrong way for whatever it's worth. I like Levis. I think he's got anxiety and I think he's a little too over the top. I think he's wound too tight. I'm like, buddy, just chill out a little bit. But the last 2 years, this operation hasn't been built for him to be successful, even if I did like Levis. And again, I think Anthony Richardson has been completely failed by the Indianapolis Colts. So your part on that end of it matters just as much. It's not as simple as, well, there's a 31% chance of getting a jack. That's not how this works. As much as I would want that to be the case, that's not how it works. 615-737-1025. If you want to weigh in your reaction to Cam Ward's Pro Day, we continue that. Plus, I got a basketball take. Maybe I'll save it for tomorrow. Who knows? Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106 for the game.
All right, you're a general manager or a head coach in here. You're leaving saying what, Eddie?
Can't pass up on this guy. There's no way we're trading that pick. I don't care what you offer. I'm not answering the phone. I'm unplugging the phone after seeing this workout. And he's number one overall. I'll write it down right now in a Sharpie, and I get ready to send it into the commissioner as soon as I could.
Yeah, I agree. I really believe he's going to be the first quarterback taken, without a doubt. Now, and if he's not, I think fans at home need to understand it's not about, oh, this team thinks that he's not this or that. No, like that team might have said, you know what, we really need help on the defensive line, or we really need help, and we want to take a guy like Travis Hunter who can give us offensive defense. But what Cam Ward showed throughout this entire season, what he just showed here for the past 20 minutes throwing this thing, man, he's going to be the number one quarterback taken in this draft.
There you go. That was the ACC Network crew. They were a little over the top. I'm not going to lie. During the Cam Ward broadcast, he was fine. One texter asks, Jared, I'm late to the party. How did Cam Ward's pro day look? I'm seeing posts that he didn't look that good. He looked fine. I mean, I am concerned about his short to intermediate accuracy, and I thought he missed some throws in the red zone that I didn't like. The ball bounced too many times. Now, he had the one viral throw where he rolled out to the right, kind of did a little spin move out to the left, and then stepped up and fired a ball down the field to his receiver, Xavier Strepo, who, by the way, apparently at his 40, ran a 4.78. You might be able to get that guy in the fourth round. 4.7? This team needs speed. But he was fine. Cam Ward did not do anything. Cam Ward did not do anything to dissuade anyone from taking him number one overall. It was fine. Now, the idea that put it in Sharpie after this workout, that's a little rich for me. One texter says, he's a great interview. There's no doubt about that. It's really hard not to like him from afar. I thought his interview was fine. I listened to him sit down with the guys on Sirius XM at the scouting combine, and I really enjoyed listening to them talk about football. I mean, it is obvious that Cam knows ball, which is important at the quarterback position to know ball. And then it's important to learn more as you go about it. Joey from Bellevue says, do you trust Callahan to coach up Cam Ward? The team showed absolutely zero progress last year. I think this would be a good way to end today's show. The word trust, we're going to use that a lot when it comes to the Titans. And I'm just going to say, after their decision to part with longtime PR guy Robbie Bourne today, who had been there for 25 years, who was a pro's pro, and I see a lot of people on social media being like, the local reporters are upset about it because they're his friend. That's not why the local reporters don't like it. The local reporters don't like it because they think Robbie Bourne's good at his job. That's why. As a fan of the team, I'm appalled because I think it's a bad decision. So just to sum it up, I don't trust anything about this franchise. I don't trust its owner. I think she put her hands too far into the cookie jar, and now she's trying to take them all out. Now she's like, all right, I screwed up. I hired the general manager that was terrible. So you guys, Burke Nihill and Chad Brinker, show us the way. You guys only helped us accomplish our goal of being the worst team in the league. You guys take over. And I don't trust either guy as far as I could throw them. And I don't trust them when it comes to being able to build a team. And I'm not sure I trust them when it comes to understanding what's in the best interest of the franchise. Brian Callahan's way low on the totem pole when it comes to my trust as far as what the Titans are doing or not doing. I hope I'm wrong about the Titans. I do. I hope I'm wrong. I hope these guys know what they're doing. That's my team. I root for them. But at the same time, today, it's hard to trust anything when it comes to the Titans. Anything at all. That's it for us. The Commodore Hour is next. Stillman and Company. We'll see everybody tomorrow, too.